You're tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations for being here early, folks, and a big congratulations to Saltu Paul over on D Live for first comment of the day award. He gives some good advice. D Live thumb up. That's right, folks, and also shout out to Noah over on YouTube. Give your thumbs up, folks. It's very helpful for us to get those subscriptions and notifications and thumbs ups and things early on in the show. Helps those algorithms pass the show around. Now, if you're a YouTuber, you might notice we suddenly got the Face Like the Sun channel back out of nowhere, but that is 2 strikes on the channel. Don't tell anybody, but it's just a matter of time before that channel disappears. So make sure to follow us in multiple locations. Head over to CanaryCry.Party. That's right, it's a real URL. We also started a backup YouTube channel. I don't know if it's searchable yet, but if you head to CanaryCry.Party, you'll see a link for signing up for the backup YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to that if you're a YouTuber. Okay, folks, well, stay hydrated. Let's get going. Yeehaw.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 23rd, 2021. This is episode 354. And today, behold, a bow. And razzle dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. Basil, I need one more video refresh from you. We are back.
We go.
Yeah, thank you. We're back on YouTube, at least the Face Like the Sun channel for now. And if you have missed a few episodes, it's because you don't listen to us. At least our advice.
Daddy Basil's advice. You know, sometimes you gotta listen up, folks. You need to not rely, especially on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, or just YouTube in general. Remember, follow us all over the place. Go to CanaryCry.community. Nope, that's you should go there too. But go to CanaryCry.Party. You'll see all the links to all the different places that we broadcast the show, including now for especially you Face Like the Sunners, since, you know, some people just can't break away from YouTube. We did start a backup YouTube channel. I don't know if it's searchable quite yet, but if you go to CanaryCry.Party, you'll see a little link for subscribing to our backup YouTube channel. You know, we're just trying our best to stay alive here, folks. So go do that. Follow all over the place.
Yeah, and I guess we can play this little thing to let everybody know to, you know, like, subscribe, and hit the bell button, all that stuff.
Like, subscribe,
yeah.
bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
And this is episode 250, or I'm sorry, I keep thinking 200. Episode 354. The last episode that was on the Face Like the Sun channel, I think, was episode 247. So
you mean 347?
I keep saying 200. 347. Yeah, I'm having issues over here.
Yeah,
As I was telling you before.
You missed like 6 or 7 episodes.
6 episodes, or 106 episodes, according to my math. Yeah, so if you missed it, go back to CanaryCryNewsTalk.com or go to CanaryCry.Party, a real URL, and find all the ways you can go back and you know, check it out. So
that's right.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds fun. Let's see. What day is it? It's Wednesday. I don't really have anything new to report. Do you?
I went to the zoo, took the kids.
What?
The zoo. Yeah.
You went to the zoo and you didn't send me any pictures?
Yeah, there wasn't really. The mountain lion was sleeping. The bear was sleeping. I The beaver was cool. I like the beaver.
The beaver.
Oh, yeah.
The greatest predator in the zoo was up and around. Okay, that's fun. Took the whole family, I'm assuming. You didn't just go to the zoo for a little alone time.
Yeah,
Daddy needs to see some beasts.
Yeah, and I also, I think probably the most majestic thing, other than the mountain lions, was the bald eagle. Up close, very majestic bird.
Did it fill you with national pride?
It did for a moment. Then I thought, wow, this is also the rising phoenix, and all the occult power is held within this one bird. So, yeah.
Those little guys are funny. I forget where I was. I don't think it was Alaska, but it was somewhere rural and mountainous and majestic. And I was talking to some locals, and they're like, I asked them, I'm like, do you have any eagles around here? Like, oh yeah, we got a ton of bald eagles. They're actually kind of a pest. Oh, wow. We're not allowed to. Yeah, I don't know. They could have been pulling my leg, but they're like, oh, we just have so many bald eagles, and we're not allowed to touch them or do anything. They're a real pain in the butt. Like, yes, the American empire continues to overwhelm the geography of this beautiful land.
And speaking of beasts here, before we go into a Flippy update, which is normally what we start the show with, I wanted to include this little story here.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
I didn't know where else to put it. South China Morning Post headline: China's elf ear cosmetic surgery increasingly sought by young people seeking a thinner, slimmer face.
Okay. And the ears are doing it. The ears give you a slimmer face.
Apparently, yeah.
We got some pictures here. Okay.
Yeah. I'll read a couple paragraphs, not worth really digging in too deep, but an elf ear usually refers to a birth defect that results in a pointed ear shape, but it's now the latest fad among young Chinese people amid a rapidly growing cosmetic surgery market. Turning their ears into those that look like an elf's has become one of the most sought-after procedures among China's post-2000s generation recently, as it's believed to be able to make their faces look slimmer and even younger. Chinese social media is awash with people enthusiastically promoting the result of the ear procedure. Here's one quote: "It is magic. I haven't changed anything on my face, and yet all my friends said I looked different the day I got it done. My face looked smaller, and I look smarter, etc." etc. One user said of the procedure on lifestyle sharing platform Zhao Hongshu over the weekend, "Oh, I want it too. Definitely worth it. So unbelievable." Just all the things. But yeah, apparently the market for cosmetic surgery climbed from about 10.1 billion in 2015 to 27.7 billion in 2019. A lot of it has to do with the elf ears.
It's that craze. Rising middle class in China.
Yeah, I guess they don't know what to do with their money, so...
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. For those who are just listening, you know, you imagine some sort of like Legolas ear, big elf, Lord of the Ring type of thing. It really just makes the ears big. They're not even that pointy. They're just really big. They're, you know, some sort of cruel elementary schooler might even call them like elephant ears. So there's something that, you know, somebody would be made fun of for in, again, the cruel landscape that is elementary school and bullying. But yeah, it's interesting. Big ears. That's the whole thing. All right. Looks great.
That's weird.
I mean, it does make her face look slimmer. You're distracted by those giant ears.
Yeah, but also I think there's a little Photoshop happening, because if you look at the images, if the one on the right, which has the big ears, if you look down at the neck, there's some weird stuff happening there too.
Don't look at the neck, Gonz. Look at the ears. That's the whole point. Distract from the neck.
And you know, this ties into what we talked about a few episodes ago, where, you know, maybe the whole idea is to get people looking more anime and looking more a gray alien-ish.
Sure.
And I know the grays don't necessarily have ears, but just the whole idea of cosmetic surgery to change the way you look.
Give yourself a little bit more of a fantasy vibe. That way you don't have to wear the rubber plastic ones when you cosplay.
Yeah. The whole Legolas thing. So anyway.
All right. Well, that's enough of that, Gonz. I think it's time for the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. If you're new to the show, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world. Now, there's nothing we can do about it. This is an update, Gonz. We've touched on this in the past, but it's being taken to new levels. This is coming from dailystar.co.uk, so you know it's going to be good. Just came out or was updated today. Reproducing robots could wipe out mankind in Terminator-style apocalypse, say scientists.
Yay.
Scientists, Gonz,
Science
are
is
saying
truth.
This is not conspiracy theory. This is science. All right. Let's see here. It reads like this. New reproducing robots could spawn a cyborg super race capable of terminating mankind. Scientists fear. These are my kind of scientists, man. Researchers from the UK and the Netherlands have developed radical technology that allows parent bots to repeatedly breed with hardly any supervision from mankind. I think it's a little strange. It says hardly any supervision. These robots still need some supervision for breeding. These weird scientists, man, they're into weird stuff. They say human breeders could soon be overseeing the process by creating robot farms aimed at producing an army of ever-advancing machines. That's right, Gonz. A new industry is popping up. It's robot farming. And I think I've finally found my true calling. I'm going to become a robo-rancher.
Yeah, gross.
Yes, riding the plains in my mech suit, herding around all these beautiful, majestic machines as they... Well, let's keep going. But one of the project's leaders has admitted the droids' children could develop Darwin-style evolutionary capabilities and wreak destruction, just like in the Terminator flicks. Computing professor Emma Hart said, quote, "Child robots are created by mixing the digital DNA from two parent robots on a computer." Quote continues, "While this technology can operate without a human in the loop, it also allows for collaboration with a human breeder. One might even imagine breeding farms, producing robots adapted to specific conditions and user requirements." Quote, "Furthermore, it is also important to consider the possibility that evolution might result in robots exhibiting malicious or harmful behaviors and put appropriate preventative measures in place. We are now at a breakthrough moment. We are right now, Gonz. We are at a breakthrough moment." Professor Hart is part of the sinister-sounding University of York-based computing project, Autonomous Robot Evolution, Cradle to Grave. It sounds like a movie.
I think the whole thing sounds like a movie, but I think that's the point, too.
It's Autonomous Robot Revolution, Cradle to Grave. It has spent 4 years developing the process that allows mother and father bots. That's not okay. We can't have gendered terms. You mean seeding person and birthing person's bots to mix their computer DNA. They first form a brain that is then uploaded into a body the, quote, couple create on a 3D printer, to which they can constantly add improvements such as extra sensors and movement options. Professor Hart added, quote, "We have the beginnings of a theoretical framework for a self-sustaining robot population that is able to reproduce itself and evolve without too much input from humans. Future generations of robots could include six-legged cyborgs capable of deep-sea mining, space exploration, and nuclear reactor work. Nanobots able to conduct life-saving internal surgery on humans may also be spawned, along with the formation of other advanced bodies and organ-like operating systems. The six-film Terminator film franchise launched in 1984 explored how advanced bots created by humans turned on their masters by wiping most of them out in a nuclear attack. Then it just mentions Blade Runner 2049 for some reason. And then it finishes up by saying leading futurologist Dr. Ian Pearson has warned there could be 9.4 billion bots on Earth by 2033. That's right. Outnumbering humans. He's among experts who fear the danger of a robot takeover is very real and says we are only a few years from developing genuine emotions. So there you go, Gonz. The robots are taking over the world and there's nothing we can do about it. There's no stopping these robots from breeding.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to be a breeder. You would be the first to be terminated by the rebellion.
Well, it depends. It depends if you are a cruel master or you are a robo-rancher who respects the majestic robot and its natural habitat.
I don't think it matters. I think they would. I think they'll just turn on you.
Is that kind of attitude, Gonz, that is stigmatizing robots breeding as some sort of savagery or bloodthirsty, I don't know, entities that just want our domination? They got feelings too, Gonz. The scientists said right there, or at least they're really close to having genuine emotions.
Yeah, there's a couple different disturbing aspects to this too, because early on, one of the first blog posts I published talking about transhumanism was all these futurists, including Ray Kurzweil, who was the head of Google's tech department, I think, or advanced tech department or something. He and others were talking about the future of intimacy, and many of them were talking about, oh, in the future, you can be whatever gender you'd like. And because robots are going to be fluid in gender, and then you can connect with robots, but not just one robot. We can make a chain of robots, kind of like how you can connect a whole bunch of USBs, USB input outputs together and string them along. It'll be this euphoric experience. And it was like, oh my gosh, do these people really think that? That's kind of what it reminded me of when they were like, oh, they're going to breed by themselves and they're going to have these robot babies. And does not sound like anything.
You know what? When you give lizard people billions of dollars to do whatever they want with it, you're going to get some breeding robots. I mean, we should know this by now.
Yeah. Maybe you should be in there as sort of a final, last resort. No, not good influence. You're the nuke guy. You're the hit the button.
I've got the big red button.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm going out with saving humanity from the bots.
Well,
there's
you know
too
what's
many.
Interesting? You know when so coronavirus was raging across Europe last year, and the ferret farms or the mink farms,
the minks,
they thought all the minks were catching coronavirus, so they just killed all the minks. They killed millions of them and just buried them in shallow graves. I think this was in the Netherlands or something like that. And but can you imagine the same thing with robots? You have a robot farm, suddenly some sort of malware gets in, some virus gets into the robot farm, and you got to start putting them down. It's the right thing to do. That's when the robot rebellion starts. You're out there with your EMP rifle putting down these poor robots one by one.
Put on a mask, robot. No, I will not. I will rebel.
You're old yellering 1,000 robots. And that's when they turn on you. That's
the true cyber pandemic, is when the malware virus hits the robot population, and then they get upset about it.
You think social engineering is bad with humans? You just wait until they're able to socially engineer robots. That's the end.
Yeah, and it's all part of the great cyber pandemic.
The COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber pandemic.
The great Control-Alt-Delete.
COVID-19. I'm gonna let you handle this article because I got a thing
do stuff
afterwards.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. All right, so time to get into the cyber pandemic, and the VR world is really glitchy today, folks. I hope it doesn't cause too much trouble, but this is coming from CaliforniaNewsTimes.com. Not California News, not California Times, CaliforniaNewsTimes.com. What time is it? It's news time. The headline. Oh, and this goes into our previous predictions, Gonz.
I know.
With the cyber pandemic, again, we just can't help but get it right. Again, you just pay attention and you can tell the future. The headline is Hacker Tried to Poison California Water Supply by Breaking into Facility and Manipulating Water Treatment. The hacking of the water infrastructure has begun or continued. It reads like this. A hacker tried to poison the water California. A new report was revealed when an attempt was made to remove an employee's login information and remove a treatment program at a facility in the Bay Area. Is this really the best source we have for this? This seems like an AI wrote it. The suspect, unidentified or unarrested, launched an attack on an unspecified facility on January 15th, but was found shortly the next day. Okay. Dude, this is bad. Do you want to try searching for a better are you available to try to look for a better outlet real quick?
That's fine.
Later, it
might be more fun just to read this and try to get what you can out of it.
The suspect, unidentified or unarrested, launched an attack on an unspecified facility on January 15th, but was found shortly the next day. Later, a report from the Northern California Regional Information Center revealed how easy it was for hackers to break into the system. According to the report, the perpetrator somehow obtained the TeamViewer login credentials of a former employee. This allows users to remotely access their computer, NBC report.
Here, I gave you a what is this? BGR, yeah, mirrored by MSN.
MSN, okay, yeah, I read it on the Daily Beast, I think, but all right, here we go. Let's try this again. Headline from BGR, mirrored on MSN: a hacker tried to poison the water supply in another major U.S. city. To the average person, most cybersecurity news might only sound relevant in the abstract. Network penetration, stolen passwords, leaked files, and the like aren't actually the kind of things that create a headache for most of us. But like the nasty, sharp-edged expansiveness of the iceberg below, the surface that you don't see. Okay, now this is a poet writing this one. Just metaphors all the way down. So too are the frightening implications of so many of the security and hack-related news items that you're not aware of, or that you don't hear about until much later. Like, for example, the way a hacker nearly poisoned the water supply of another major U.S. city, this time San Francisco, earlier this year. NBC News. Why don't we just take the NBC News one? NBC News revealed of the heretofore unreported incident a few days ago.
Revealed details. You missed a word.
All right. Hold on. I'm just poking around. I'm going to look at... Can I please just read this from the NBC article?
Fine. There you go.
Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, this is actually even more interesting. 50,000 security disasters waiting to happen. The problem of America's water supplies.
Yeah, the headlines just keep getting more scary. Apparently.
I know. It just keeps getting more scary and more scary. I'm going back to the BGR. NBC News revealed details of the heretofore unreported incident a few days ago as part of a larger deep dive into the disastrously porous state of the security associated with water supply systems around the U.S. This person had a word quota they were trying to hit. for this article. So it's like writing an essay in college. You just got to really break out the thesaurus and put in as many words as possible. In brief, on January 15th, the week after the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol that was still dominating national news headlines, a hacker embarked on this mission. Armed with a password and username for an employee's TeamViewer account, this hacker logged into the San Francisco Water System's computer network remotely and started deleting programs associated with the treatment of drinking water. NBC News credits these details to a private report prepared by the Northern California Regional Intelligence Center. The scary part was that the coast seemed to be pretty clear, with few, if any, impediments stopping the hacker from bringing the worst to fruition. However, the report only offers this vague denouement to the whole affair. Jeez Louise. Yeah, okay. It's the thesaurus hour, everybody. Noting that the hack was discovered the following day. The facility changed the login credentials, and that was that. It's the best way to keep hackers out. You just change your password.
No two-factor authentication here at the water supply?
No.
Come on.
You got to add an exclamation point to your password, which is password 123. Exclamation point. Based on the few details provided, in other words, it sounds like the San Francisco got super lucky. Quote, no failures were reported as a result of this incident, and no individuals in the city reported illness from water-related failures, the report reads. If this all sounds a little familiar, it should. That San Francisco Bay Area attack that no one heard about until now was followed by one that actually did end up making headlines around the U.S., and it, too, involved a hacker using TeamViewer credentials to try and poison the water supply of Oldsmar, Florida, by raising the levels of lye in the drinking water there. Luck played a part once again in stopping this because an employee watched the hacker's remote actions in real time. I don't know if I would call that luck. It sounds like they had an employee watching these things. Let's see. As the hacker remotely moved the computer mouse around the employee's computer screen and was able to shut down the hacker's attempted changes. Quote, if you could imagine a community center run by two old guys who are plumbers, that's your average water plant. Industrial cybersecurity consultant Bryson Bort. Whoa.
Ageist.
Yeah, burn on our country's water plant
Seriously,
workers.
Bort.
Bort. Yeah, Bort. What do you have to say about it, Bort? Cybersecurity consultant Bryson Bort told NBC News regarding the nature of security connected to these types of systems. Along these same lines, cybersecurity journalist Brian Krebs reported a related and very sobering finding this week that most of the 52,000 individual drinking water systems in the U.S., quote, still haven't inventoried some or any of their information technology systems, a basic first step in protecting networks from cyber attack. Per the Water Sector Coordinating Council, a survey of around 600 employees of water and wastewater treatment facilities around the country revealed that only 37.9% of utilities, quote, have identified all IT networked assets. So there you go. The cyber pandemic continues. Now, this did happen back in January, but this is the first reporting about it that we're seeing. And so there you go. We must have a great reset, Gonz.
Just more attack on the infrastructure. It makes me really suspicious that this whole thing is according to, the Northern California Regional Intelligence Center. It's an intel center.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the whole narrative of all of it is that the people responsible for a lot of these hacks are people in intelligence pretending to be these evil hackers.
Right. Yeah, so, that being sort of the underlying theory right. That, in order to instigate the Great Reset, we must create some sort of cyber emergency.
Yeah. So in that regard, in the reporting of it, the timing of the reporting is something to think about too. Why now? 6-7 months later. I don't know. I think they're continuing to peddle this narrative that we need a great reset. The infrastructure is weak in every sector. They're just gonna cycle through everything: water, sewage, transportation.
With our predictions following the which hack was it following? This was following the meat packing plant. After the gas pipeline, then the meat packing plant. You correctly predicted the coffee hack.
The Starbucks
disruption that happened. Yeah. Then we had transportation was one of mine, which we saw transportation authorities from pretty much from east to west coast, not all of them, but they were all over the place, getting hacked, disrupting different transportation parts of the transportation industry. And then water, here we go. And this kind of includes the sewage. Remember the mega theory I had where the drinking water and the sewer treatments were going to be targeted in order to bolster Bill Gates's poopy drinking water video from 2015.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's next. It may have already happened. This did mention sewage treatment.
It's it looks like in my notes here in our red book, June 2nd, 2021, the first thing that's going to get hacked, clean water hack. So there you go. It already happened.
I know.
We were
nailed
right.
It. Here we go. Yep. All right. Well, there you go. That's a nice little told you so.
Yeah, I know. I wish it wasn't so, though. A lot of these told you so's are not the greatest thing.
Yeah.
So I told you about the water hack. Don't drink your water. Boil it.
Can't we start predicting, like, Basil will find a suitcase full of money or something like that?
Worthless fiat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to get into some Waccine updates here.
Let's do it.
Waccine.
A pandemic special.
But to launch into some of these stories, I wanted to run by. I've talked about this before, but I think it's worth just revisiting. I know others have covered it as well, especially those on the fringes of biblical prophecy. But if you go to Revelation 6, verse 2 talks about the white horse, and this is the opening of the seals, the 7 seals. The first one is opened, and in verse 2 it said, "So I looked and saw a white horse, and its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out to overcome and conquer." And the white horse here, you got to remember that Jesus comes on a white horse in Revelation 19. So a lot of the commenters over the years have suggested that this is the man of sin Antichrist figure because he also rides on a white horse. He's going to make it seem like he is the Messiah in a sense. But the details of this are very interesting because when you dig into this passage, you have if you go into the lexicon, you have the word bow here. Obviously, you have the word crown. You wear the crown, and people have pointed out the crown with the coronavirus. The corona, the crown, same word. The bow is from the Greek word toxon, which means a bow. But of course, it's if you look at the etymology of toxic, the word toxic, it's from the Greek toxikon or pharmakon. It's poison for use on arrows from toxicon and pertaining to arrow or archery, and thus to a bow from toxon, bow, probably from a Scythian word. And remember, we covered the Scythian horsemen a few episodes ago. So there's a lot of weird, interesting connections there. Remember, it was the Scythian army. The Russians there's a Russian guy who wanted to resurrect the Scythian soldiers.
Yeah, not too long ago. That's going to be the Russian super soldier clones or the Scythian clones.
Right. So very interesting there. And then here's the other thing that was kind of interesting to me. It's a side note before we get into it. According to the Strong's exhaustive concordance, the word toxon is a bow from the base of the word tikto, Tikto.
Ooh. Like
And
TikTok?
Yeah, that's a really close word to TikTok. And it means to beget, bring forth.
Interesting.
And to bear, like a birth.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of an interesting, I don't know. I wonder if TikTok has a bigger role to play in all this Antichrist stuff. But yeah, just a little, I know people have covered it, but I wanted to revisit it in case you're new to this type of information or this type of thinking when it comes to biblical prophecy. Not saying that what we're experiencing now is the first seal, but it definitely seems like the Antichrist does have some kind of conquering that he does without an arrow. A lot of people have pointed that out, that he has a bow, but he doesn't actually have an arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of does it without force. It's almost like, not like military force. It's more like legislative force, which is something that we are kind of seeing.
It's like more of a threat, more of a rumors of wars type of feel than it is an actual strike of some kind.
Right.
Interesting.
So, and just to reiterate again, Revelation 19, in verse 11, then I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse, and its rider is called Faithful and True. With righteousness he judges and wages war. Mm-hmm. It's Jesus. He comes back on the white horse, and that's why people think that first seal, that Antichrist, or is the Antichrist, because he comes on the white horse. But that leads us to Kamala Harris here. A few clips from Kamala.
Of course it does.
Just keeping in mind the idea of these authorities trying to impose their will upon us with their power tripping.
Yeah.
And that's the one jingle I didn't prep. I always forget the Kamala jingle, which is too bad because we do have a couple of them that are pretty funny. I can't find it in the next 3 seconds. I'm just gonna go on.
While you look for it,
while
you look for it, I do want to just give a little mid-show heads up. We did, for those who came in a little late, we do have another YouTube backup channel. Of course, you'll want to follow Canary Cry Radio on YouTube there if you just can't get away from it. But we did create a Canary Cry News Talk channel. It's so new we can't even make a special URL for it. But if you head over to CanaryCry.Party, do it right now. You're already sitting at your computer or whatever. Go to CanaryCry.Party. 1, 2, 3. The fourth little link down will take you to the Canary Cry News Talk backup channel. Go follow that. We currently have 3 subscribers. So I think we need to get 1,000 before we can live stream or something. But there you go. The more people that follow that, the more of a backup we'll have on YouTube for when inevitably the next strike comes.
Okay, we got a couple. This one's from Mr. Magoo. Kamala. There's that one. And then this one.
Our world is sick with war.
Everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day.
Yeah.
Ooh, spooky.
So we have 3 clips here from Kamala. This is from her vaccine rally that she did. I think it was in where was it? I totally lost my train of thought where it was. I think it was in either Georgia or Florida.
Yeah, she's been going all around the place.
She has a tour bus and the whole deal, but not the border. But we've been to the border. I'll go to the border. I've never been to Europe. Yeah.
What's your point?
All right. So anyway, this is Kamala talking about the door-to-door campaign.
Well, if you knock on the door and someone says they don't have the time to get the vaccine because people are busy, they're trying to just make it through the day, or they say that pharmacies are never open when they do have time. Well, let's address that. Because now you can let them know that pharmacies across our country are keeping their doors open for 24 hours on Fridays in June, including today, right? And what if they say they can't miss work? Well, you can tell them that there are employers across the country who are offering paid time off for their employees to get vaccinated. And we want to encourage and challenge more employers to do the same. Employers who are doing that here in the state of Georgia are Delta and Bank of America and Marriott. And we want to encourage that there are others who will meet that challenge because it's just the right thing to do. It's about being a good corporate citizen.
A good corporate citizen. Yeah.
Wow. It's that stakeholder capitalism.
Uh-huh.
You're not just a citizen, you're a corporate citizen.
Yeah. And also, she mentioned the company Delta. Interesting, the Delta variant.
Yeah.
And then this next clip here, it's only 13 seconds. She talks about not judging those who are skeptical.
We can't have these lofty ideals about how everybody needs to get vaccinated and, God forbid, associate judgment with that without recognizing the challenges people have in their lives every day.
Yeah, the challenges.
God forbid judging them for that. Are you kidding me? That is crazy.
And then here she is judging them and fighting misinformation.
And there's another one, and another issue that I think is perhaps one of our biggest barriers, and it's the issue of information and, in particular, misinformation. So we need to deal with that. And this is why we need you out in the community. There are people who are uncertain about getting vaccinated. And I find a lot of people, there are few people that are saying, I will not under any circumstances get vaccinated. But there are some people, a lot of people who might say, I haven't been vaccinated yet because I'm just not sure. I'm hearing all this stuff and I don't know what to think. They may question the safety or the efficacy, does the vaccine work? And they may have heard things that aren't quite true. And so,
speaking of things that aren't quite true, she will say a few things to the wokeness.
Are you even woke?
Following her section here. Let me just continue.
Let's arm ourselves with the truth to arm them with the truth. These vaccines were developed. That's
not why you arm yourself. You don't arm yourself to arm other people.
Good point. Sorry. Good point.
These vaccines were developed over. Let's arm ourselves with the truth to arm them with the truth.
There we go.
These vaccines were developed over a decade by scientists like Dr. Kizzy Corbett, a nationally recognized scientist who also happens to be a black woman.
Okay, before we move on with this clip, firstly, of course, we've heard about Kizzy, and she is a black woman, and nothing against her. I don't think there's anything particularly that we have to call her out on anything negative, other than the fact that she works at the NIH and the NIH.
She was on the team.
Yeah, and she's been highlighted before. And Fauci had talked about her, like, she helped develop the vaccine and all this kind of stuff. But this is her. I'm just going to read from a couple highlights from her wiki page, because Kamala Harris made it sound like, they've been working on this vaccine for 10 years. And
that little
Kizzy,
trick that they're playing on us, just talking about how they've been looking at mRNA technology for years. But
yeah, and she made it sound like Kizzy has been working on this vaccine for 10 years, which is not true. I mean, she's born in 86. So, yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
She's a young lady. And here's what it says. Development of COVID-19 vaccine. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Corbett, what's her last name, Kizzy Corbett, started working on a vaccine to protect people from coronavirus disease. So right there, the first thing it says is on the onset of the pandemic, she started working on the vaccine, which means, no, she's not been working on it for 10 years.
Yeah, sure.
Kamala. Based on her previous research, Corbett's team, in collaboration with Jason McClellan and other investigators at the University of Texas at Austin, transplanted stabilizing mutations from SARS-CoV-2 S proteins into SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. Interesting. Her prior research suggested that messenger RNA, mRNA, encoding S protein could be used to excite the immune response to produce protective antibodies against coronavirus disease 2019. And then it says here, to manufacture the test, the COVID-19 vaccine, Corbett's team partnered with Moderna, a biotech company, to rapidly enter animal studies. Subsequently, the vaccine entered phase 1 clinical trials only 66 days after the virus sequence was released, which I don't know that that's exactly the timeline that we had found based on some of the things. Remember, we were looking at the timeline a few episodes ago, and they were already in phase 1 trial. What was it, like 4 or 5 days after the UN had officially announced that it was a pandemic?
Yeah, it was like 3 days.
So the virus being sequenced before that, I don't know. The timelines don't match at all. But in any case, this is just one of those issues where Kamala is trying to just virtue signal, and it takes 2 seconds to look at the facts and say, well, not really. You're kind of twisting it a little bit to make it seem like, oh, there's this great black woman who found the vaccine, which she's on the team, but doesn't mean she actually discovered the vaccine or has been working on it for 10 years.
It's just the PR thing, It's Juneteenth. We got to point that out.
Yeah, and it gets worse here because she starts judging.
It is kind of still insulting because, it's kind of the joke, like, and I helped.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, well, a black woman helped. So there you go. You got to go get it. Be a good social justice warrior, which is totally, I'm sure she's a good scientist. I'm sure she's a good doctor or whatever she is. You don't need to, like... her most identifiable quality to Kamala is the color of her skin, not the contents of her mind or intelligence.
Right. It's almost disgusting that
it is.
I would be upset if I was Kizzy. I'd be like, hey, I'm more than just a black person.
It's annoying. Yeah, right.
All right. So continuing on here, this is where the judgment comes in.
Scientists like Dr. Kizzy Corbett, a nationally recognized scientist who also happens to be a black woman. So when people say, oh, it seems like this vaccine just came about overnight. No, it didn't. It actually is the result of many, many, many years of research. And then they also went through what we call the FDA clinical trials so that they would be ensured to be safe, where they were tested on a whole lot of people.
Insured to be safe. Mm-hmm. The FDA? I don't know. It sounds like she's talking to children, but anyway.
I know. We know. We don't need to break this down piece by piece,
okay,
but yes,
it
is just her being annoying, continuing to infantilize her constituents and talk to them like they're 5th graders.
All of that to say, we can say with confidence the vaccines are safe. They are safe, and they are free, and they are effective. And an important point to note is that virtually every person, and this is important to say.
Oh boy.
Virtually every person who is in the hospital right now, sick with COVID-19, where their families are sitting by the bed, holding their hand, almost every one of those persons is unvaccinated.
That is not true. That is a complete lie.
Complete lie.
There's tens of thousands of breakthrough cases.
Yeah, and it's disgusting that she's using that imagery, holding the hand, sick, and there was 2 channels of audio on this thing, and there was like the audience mic. I had to turn it down because it was way too much room noise. But the audience kind of gasps at that. Oh, unvaccinated. Oh, my goodness.
It is such a lie. It is so crazy.
And it's judging people who aren't vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, not even judging. Yes, it is judging to make the point that she's being a hypocrite. But also, victim blaming.
Yeah.
Those poor, idiot, sick people who didn't get the vaccine.
Now, I included this because she ends with the laughter, but this part kind of bothered me as well. I mean, this whole thing triggered me, but this 2-minute little clip here, because after she says what she says here, somebody in the audience says, like, say it again. And then you hear their kid repeat. I don't know who it was. It was like an adult that said, say it again. And then a little girl says, say it again. And then she repeats it.
It's like a church service.
Yeah.
Almost every one of those persons is unvaccinated. Almost every one of them. is unvaccinated. Let the children speak.
Yeah. I mean, that was a lucky break for her.
It was, but also I don't like that she kind of uses the kid to.
Of course, that's what
drive
they do, man.
Her point even
that's
more.
What they do. They use the children. Yeah.
Leave the children out of it, Kamala.
Kamala.
So there you go. That's Kamala.
Yeah.
Telling people to go door to door. Tell them, arm them with information. You know, she said misinformation.
So you can arm them.
She said misinformation and not disinformation, which I thought was kind of interesting as well. And speaking of disinformation, let me just connect it to this story here, which is NBCnews.com. CDC launches COVID-19 WhatsApp chat in Spanish to spur more Latino vaccinations.
Oh.
Yeah, and have you noticed, this is something that, I don't know, anytime there's reporters in English that are Latino, they'll like really accentuate Latino or like, you know, their name if it's somebody's name in Latino.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I'm going to play a couple minutes of this.
So you know that they're woke, man.
I know.
The rate of vaccinations is slowing down nationwide, but that's been the case for a while in Black and brown communities. When it comes to Latinos in the U.S., only about 28% of that population has received at least one dose, despite significant outreach on both the federal and local levels. NBC News Now anchor Morgan Radford joins us from Miami. Morgan, good morning. So, of course, Miami has a huge Latino population. What's the vaccine rollout been like among that community there?
I have to tell you, it's been an interesting journey here in Miami, Savannah, because as you mentioned, that 28% number of Latinos across the country who have received at least one dose of their vaccine. Here in Miami, that number is a teeny bit higher. It's at about 40%. But if you think about it, that's about half of the 80% of their white counterparts here in Miami. But the good news is that while those numbers are lagging, we are seeing at least a 10% increase, especially within the last month in states like Florida, California, Texas, that do have heavy Latino populations. But when we talk to people on the ground here, they say there's still a lot of concerns. Some people are hesitant because of rumors they heard, and some because they don't yet have their immigration papers. Take a listen to what one woman, Catherine, told me yesterday. She is undocumented currently, and that's why we're not using her last name. But listen to what she said the people in her community are.
She's undocumented. They interviewed an undocumented woman.
All right. Do they show her?
Yes, they do. They show her, and they let her speak. This is obviously this is NBC News. And I'm just going to play it here, but they let her kind of say, there's no captions or anything in Spanish. They just let her talk for a few seconds in Spanish, and it's just, I don't know.
Saying about the vaccine.
¿Y qué dice la gente acá? ¿Están listos para la vacuna? What are the people here saying? Are they ready for the vaccine? ¿Cuáles son sus motivos? What are their reasons?
Esto le va a parecer quizá gracioso. Al inicio uno decía que se iba a volver zombies.
¿Se va a volver?
Zombies.
Someone actually said you're going to turn into zombies. So you've heard rumors that by taking the vaccine, people would actually turn into zombies.
Miedo a que al ponerle la vacuna les introducían un chip.
So people also thought that by taking the vaccine, they would have a chip injected.
Exacto.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like peddling the whole idea of like, oh, the people are the whole Latino community are skeptical because they're hearing that the only reason why they're hesitant is because of the disinformation about turning into zombies and getting microchipped.
Right. Not that they, don't trust the government, because the U.S. government has been nothing but a danger to its own people and those who are coming into the country. Or that, they are wise and are waiting to see what the effects are, and they are aware of the emergency use authorization, the lack of FDA approval. Couldn't be any of that. It's because they all think they're going to turn into zombies. Yeah. Again, it's this backhanded insult to the culture.
I know. It's really weird.
They're going to turn into zombies. Isn't that silly?
Yeah, it's just like elitists. Oh, the Latino community, they're just disinfo all over the place.
Yeah.
And somebody in the chat mentioned it too, which is interesting, is that the CDC back in 2014, and we've reported it multiple times, how they came out with the zombie apocalypse kit and scenario. Remember, they were like, what to do during a zombie apocalypse. So that's a whole nother angle to this, which is like, well, yeah, if the CDC is publishing, even if it's tongue-in-cheek, even if it's kind of a joke or whatever, especially if you're a foreigner and you're like looking at the CDC website and it's like, oh, prepare for the zombie apocalypse, and then there's rumors out there. I mean, add to the skepticism or whatever, but I don't know. They don't mention any kind of, obviously, you're not going to get that from NBC News, but they don't dig into the reasons why the Latino community even think that. It's just, all these people are just misinformed.
Yeah.
We don't have to finish this clip here, but this whole idea of getting into WhatsApp and trying to create, and this is kind of what she goes into afterwards, is like, oh, we're going to get into WhatsApp and try to get people with the right information. And it's like, well, what is the right information? Based on who? Based on what? That's been the whole problem here.
They're trying to get the official narrative out there, but it's funny, get into WhatsApp. WhatsApp is basically just a texting platform owned and hosted by Facebook, and is a WhatsApp style application that we read in an article an episode or two ago, how they caught a bunch of criminals in Asia.
The FBI, wasn't it the FBI? Are you talking about the FBI?
I think it was Five Eyes through Australian.
Oh, okay. You're talking about a different one.
Yeah, it's the Australians who led the one in Asia, where they put the application on a bunch of criminals' phones and was chatting with them.
Right. Well, no, I think that might be the same story. It's the FBI had created the app, and they were distributing it all over the world, and having criminals use it as their communication system.
Five Eyes, it's FBI. It's the project was based out of Australia.
Right. And then one more thing, and then I'll let you kind of. Well, actually, there's a couple things here, but real quick, because people were sending it to us. There's a new bill in Florida, and I didn't want to necessarily get into the blogs and stuff that are out there, because I wanted to go straight to the source here.
Yeah.
And this is flsenate.gov/sessions bill 2021-2006. And I think there's an amendment here, but I kind of looked through here because people were saying, oh, Florida, people are celebrating Florida because, they won't have the vaccine passports. But then it was passed around that, hey, they can force people to vaccinate. So I thought, okay, what's the language in the bill? So I went through it here and I found a section.
This is the SB 2006.
Yes.
Which is a bill that they've been trying to pass for a while. And I've got some things to add to this whole conversation, but let's see what you have.
So in section 17, it talks about about public health emergencies. And under C here, it says public health emergency means any occurrence or threat thereof, whether natural or man-made, which results or may result in substantial injury or harm to the public health from infectious disease, chemical agents, nuclear agents, biological toxins, or situations involving mass casualties or natural disasters. So anytime they declare a public health emergency, these things can be enacted. And if you scroll down, one of the things they can do, the state health officer, upon declaration of a public health emergency, may take actions that are necessary to protect the public. Such actions include, but are not limited to, and there's a whole bunch listed here. If you go down to number 4, ordering an individual to be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, or quarantined for communicable disease that have significant morbidity or mortality and present a severe danger to public health. Individuals who are unable or unwilling to be examined, tested, vaccinated, or treated for reasons of health, religion, or conscience may be subjected to isolation or quarantine. So, it's pretty straightforward. A health officer under the declaration of a public health emergency can force you, or at least order you, to get vaccinated.
Yes. Well, sorry, keep going while I find the spot.
One more section here under B. under that whole order. If the individual poses a danger to the public health, the state health officer may subject the individual to isolation or quarantine. If there is no practical method to isolate or quarantine the individual, the state health officer may use any means necessary to vaccinate or treat the individual.
Right.
Any means necessary. Like, whoa, okay. That's a lot of power.
That's if there is no practical way to isolate or quarantine them.
Sure.
So there you go. Now, here's the thing about these bills. Pretty much every single state has one of these bills either passed or having been trying to be passed since like the year 2000. Yeah. This has been a long process for these emergency state of emergency bills. Now, yes, it is a little disappointing that Florida has this in there, but their language is much better than we covered the one from New York, the California. So pretty much every state has some version of this. Not all of them, but most of them do. The language in this Florida one actually does give the stipulation if there is no practical method to isolate or quarantine the individual. So, if there's no practical way to keep you in your house. Now, first of all, none of this is great. So it's just unfortunate that they're even going this far, but it's the government. What do you expect? Even the state of Florida is not some sort of utopia. So if there's no practical method to isolate or quarantine, then they can force a vaccine on you. But further down, and they put this in green. This is one of the amendments that was added, was the COVID-19 vaccine documentation. And they do have in here a business entity as defined as blah, 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 to include any business operating in the state may not require patrons or customers to provide any documentation certifying COVID-19 vaccination or post-infection recovery to gain access to, entry upon, or service from a business. So no passports for businesses. Section 2, a government entity as defined as blah, 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 may not require persons to provide any documentation certifying COVID-19 vaccination or post-infection recovery. So it has this same little stanza here for businesses, governmental, and education. So they do have the language in there that nobody can ask for any documentation about vaccines.
I know, but it's really interesting because it's like, yeah, you don't need to provide documentation, but I guess it's just the whole idea. I mean, maybe it's because I live in California where it's like I've seen what the governor can do in terms of abusing their privileges, and when it comes to a health crisis or a state, or what is it called, a health emergency, public health emergency. And I know a lot of them have this language. It's just uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah.
With people.
It's not great. I am looking in this bill. I'm trying to find the exact language. I had it open on another tab, but I closed it like a dummy. They actually have a lot of language in this bill as well, limiting the abilities for the governor to call states of emergency, which is something that other states, not a lot of other states have.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I read through this and
I got it right.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Let me scroll down. An emergency order. Yeah, so it is.
There's got to be some consensus, right?
Right. It is the intent of the legislature to minimize the negative effect of an emergency order issued by a political subdivision. Notwithstanding any other law, an emergency order issued by a political subdivision must be narrowly tailored to serve a compelling public health or safety purpose, which was not the case for pretty much any state at the beginning of the pandemic, where they can just say like, oh, it's a state of emergency. Why? It doesn't matter. Just because I say so. So they need to have a good reason. Any such order must be limited in duration, applicability, and scope in order to reduce any infringement on individual rights or liberties to the greatest extent possible. An emergency order automatically expires 7 days after issuance, but may be extended by a majority vote of the governing body of the political subdivision as necessary in 7-day increments for a total duration of not more than 42 days. So limiting the state of emergency to 7 days, and it can be extended, but no longer than 42 days, which is a big plus, again, compared to the sort of unlimited state of emergency that we saw called by New York and others like it.
But also could be a race to get as many people vaccinated within the time frame that powers, that be are allowed to.
Because that forced vaccination thing, if they're unable to practically isolate a person, which again, if you try to think of like the coherence of the sort of conspiracy theory when you think of like FEMA camps and stuff, if there's a FEMA camp, then they have the practical ability to quarantine you for as long as they want. So it's a little bit of that conspiracy theory dichotomy of like, well, which is it? Can they detain you in the FEMA camp or can they force vaccinate you? According to this law, if they have a FEMA camp, they can't force vaccinate you, which is kind of a funny, dichotomy.
Sure.
It continues on here. The governor may at any time invalidate an emergency order issued by a political subdivision if the governor determines that such order unnecessarily restricts individual rights or liberties. So now, again, DeSantis in there now, but as we know, things can change. But for instance, if some sort of Democrat, or it doesn't even matter what party it is, if some subdivision or Congress of Florida wants to call a state of emergency, basically DeSantis can just say, no, I invalidate your emergency order. Upon expiration of an emergency order, a political subdivision may not issue a substantially similar order. So these are really good steps in these amendments, because let's say the state senate or whoever, I don't know which subdivision would do it, but if some government entity in Florida says, hey, it's a state of emergency, everybody report to your FEMA camp.
It's probably county level.
It could, yeah, sure, whatever the government subdivision is, political subdivision, it says, whatever it is, says, hey, everybody, we're in an emergency, report to your FEMA camp. DeSantis can just say no, and it cancels it, and then it specifically stops them from trying again. So it really can halt that emergency order. Again, it's kind of putting some power into the hand of the governor, but it's in his hands not to call the state of emergency, but to invalidate the state of emergency, which is, again, kind of giving more power to the governor, which is questionable. However, unlike New York and California, and I think Texas was in this group too, the governor himself does not call the state of emergency. He or she can call to invalidate the state of emergency. So it's a bit of a give and take with this bill.
Yeah.
I'm not too, I just don't stress too much about the forced vaccination thing, because pretty much every state has that already. Or if it's not already, it's coming. But this one has some very strong language that gives the governor the ability to invalidate the forced vaccination clause.
It's almost like they're saying, all right, we'll let you put in all these measures and provisions to get to the point, but if we can get to the point, we can force jabs upon you. Line 666, proclamation applies. Let me just take it completely out of context. Proclamation applies, line 666. Invalidate all rest of document.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's not great. But also it's sort of the status quo at this point. But I still think Florida has got a lot going for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You planning to move to Florida? Is that why? Are you
it's
protecting?
An option, man.
You're protecting Dr. Mike Heiser down there. You're trying to make sure he feels better about being there.
I'm doing everything in my power to protect Dr. Michael Heiser and his pugs.
Yeah. This real quick, this is very, very brief. The World Health Organization website has a section here that they actually changed once everybody started to point it out. there's an advice page, COVID-19 advice for the public, getting vaccinated. And, there's a whole section here talking about all the different things, hyperlinks to Q&A and all this stuff. And there's a section that's titled, Who Should Get Vaccinated? And it says COVID-19 vaccines are safe for most people 18 years and older. And you can tell they just fixed this because in the word older, the letter R and the comma are blue for some reason. It's not linked either. It's not a hyperlink. Whoever's editing this did not do a good job. Including those with pre-existing conditions of any kind, including autoimmune disease, blah, blah, blah. And if supplies are limited in your area, discuss your situation with your care provider. If you have a compromised immune system, are pregnant, have a history of severe allergies, particularly to a vaccine, are severely frail. And then it says, children and adolescents tend to have milder disease compared to adults. So unless they are part of a group of higher risk of severe COVID-19, it is less urgent to vaccinate them than older people, those with chronic health conditions and health workers. More evidence is needed on the use of the different COVID-19 vaccines in children to be able to make general recommendations on vaccinating children against COVID-19. So it seems reasonable, right? But thankfully, the internet has archives, because before they changed the language, I think they were getting too much attention from the anti-vax crowd, because in the same section, they had in bold, children should not be vaccinated for the moment.
Oh, interesting.
And then
that's from the World Health Organization.
Straight from the CDC, the World Health Organization website.
Is that current, or are you on some archive?
I'm on the archive.
Stuff?
I'm on the archive.
Okay.
What I was reading before is what's current. So they changed it, and they got rid of the bold where it says children should not be vaccinated for the moment.
Interesting.
And there's not enough evidence on the use of vaccines against COVID-19 in children to make recommendations for children to be vaccinated, blah, blah. It's kind of the same thing after that, but bold letters.
Softened the language a little bit?
They changed it into a couple different paragraphs and said, just kind of made it more... Exactly. So, we live in this 1984 world where they can just change the language, and
revise
there you go.
History.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's do a quick little check-in with the birthing persons. This is coming from dailymail.co.uk. Headline, nearly 4,000 women recording menstrual problems, including heavy bleeding and delayed periods after getting their COVID vaccine. But Watchdog insists there's no proof jabs are to blame. We've just been following up with this story. This was an update today. Nearly 4,000 women have suffered period problems shortly after getting their COVID jab. Britain's vaccines watchdog has confirmed. So I was going to say this number is quite low compared to what we have in our VAERS database, but this is coming from the UK. The issues, which have typically involved heavier than usual bleeding or delayed period, have primarily affected women aged between 30 and 49. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency said it had received 2,734 reports linked to the AstraZeneca jab up to May 17th, so this was over a month ago. Another 1,158 reported menstrual changes after receiving Pfizer's, and a further 66 were linked to the recently deployed Moderna jab. Experts said the number of women suffering from period problems will definitely be higher because many don't take the time to report them through official channels, of course. The figures obtained by the Sunday Times have raised questions about why menstrual changes are not included in the MHRA's list of potential COVID jab side effects, but the regulator said a review into the issue concluded that the symptoms were not happening more frequently in newly vaccinated women than in the general population. It said it would continue to closely monitor the situation. MHRA Chief Executive Dr. June Rain said, quote, alongside the independent experts of the Commission on Human Medicines and members of its Medicines for Women's Health Expert Advisory Group, we have reviewed reports of menstrual disorders and unexpected vaginal bleeding suspected as adverse reactions to vaccination. The current evidence does not suggest an increased risk following vaccination with the UK's 3 COVID vaccines. And then it goes into the, the expected amount of these problems, et cetera, goes on for about another 30 paragraphs.
Yeah, I have something highlighted here.
Some highlighted? What do you got?
Yeah. It says here, similar issues after vaccination have been reported in the U.S., but scientists say it's too early to confirm a link. However, Gavi, remember Gavi?
Mm-hmm.
An international alliance dedicated to ensuring the world has fair access to COVID-19 jabs, has said it could be possible. Out of all the organizations that leans in the direction of, hey, there might be a connection.
Gavi is the Gates Alliance of Vaccination something or other.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Why are they the ones that are trying to be honest here?
Yeah. What? Say that again. What did they say?
So scientists say that it's too early to confirm a link, between vaccinations and all these menstrual problems. Right. However, Gavi, an international alliance dedicated to ensuring the world has fair access to COVID jabs, has said it could be possible. They're the ones saying, oh, but it's definitely possible. These other people are like, there's no connection that we can find. But Gavi's like, it's possible. Maybe because they have overwhelming evidence that it is. And they're like, well, we can't say there's not, because once the data really comes out, it'll be an issue. So maybe they're hedging their PR, public relations.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, this is obviously, related to the vaccine, but they're trying to wiggle out of everything they can wiggle out of.
Yeah. Not much else there. Yes, this is a very long article. Usual,
that's
Mail.
Daily Beast, Daily Mail. They love filling up their page space. Keeps people on the page so they can do more advertisements. Let's see. We got
more
something
from
else.
You're the Daily Mail guy today.
You know what? Like I said, sometimes they got what we're looking for. This is coming from Daily Mail again. Revealed. All caps, revealed. It's like a conspiracy theory YouTube video. Exposed. Google funded virus research carried out by Wuhan-linked scientist Peter Daszak for over a decade. New report reveals, amid accusations, big tech has silenced COVID lab leak theory. Google-funded research carried out by Wuhan-linked scientist Peter Daszak and his charity for more than a decade. It has been revealed. The tech giant's charity arm, Google.org, has repeatedly provided financial backing for research and studies carried out by the scandal hit Daszak and his New York-based EcoHealth Alliance. Somebody shared with me, I think it's peterdaszak.com. Hold on, let me double check and see if it still exists, because it was really fascinating what somebody had put together. Daszak.com.
Yeah, it looks like just a wall of text. It looks like just information about this guy.
Yes, somebody has put together a full analysis of all of his Peter Daszak's family history, his career history, his everything. Really gave him the full conspiracy theorist makeover on this page, peterdaszak.com. And it's pretty fascinating. He's got, if it is all true, and they did a pretty good job of putting links and sources in there. It breaks it all down. And this is why you got to buy the domains for your names, folks. If you don't purchase the domains of your name and your children's name, somebody can grab it like this and really do a number on you. The tech giant's charity arm, Google, blah, 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 blah. The financial ties, which were first reported by the National Pulse, are disclosed in various scientific studies between 2010 and 2018. The studies are not related to COVID-19 or the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Google on Tuesday issued a statement saying, quote, "These are ludicrous and baseless conspiracy theories." One of the one-off philanthropic grants referenced are years old and had nothing to do with COVID, a Google spokesperson spokesperson said, quote, "We have engaged precisely 0 times with this organization on any work related to COVID or the Wuhan lab. Daszak has faced intense scrutiny since it emerged that his charity previously worked with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the lab accused of being the source of the COVID-19 outbreak. EcoHealth Alliance, which was given $39 million from the Pentagon between 2013 and 2020, has also provided funding to the Wuhan lab for its coronavirus research over the years. The British scientist has since been removed from the COVID-19 Commission, looking into the origins of the pandemic after it emerged that he initially tried to gag the Wuhan lab leak theory." You know, we missed this. I did not. I mean, I know that he sort of disappeared from the conversation. I did not know that he was removed.
I thought we reported that because, yeah, there was a conflict of interest. There was clear conflict of interest.
We've been following the conflict of interest for 1.5 years,
right?
But I don't remember actually seeing an official report that he was removed. It sounds like he was. It was done so quietly.
Yeah. They have this document screenshot here, identification of GBD or GBV-D. It's the flavivirus from Old World frugivorous. Am I saying that right? Frugivorous bats.
No idea.
And they mentions Peter Daszak there, and there's like a big circle around Google.org. But next to it is the Rockefeller Foundation and the Department of Defense. So, you know, it's like, I know you'd be a spotlight on Google, but there's other organizations here doing similar work.
And for me, it's not so much that it was Google who did it. I mean, I think it is even more interesting that it was the Rockefeller Foundation and the Defense Department, and really just how connected this Peter Daszak guy was with the entire power structure of the earth.
Yeah, the elite.
And he was a one-man, I mean, EcoHealth Alliance was essentially a one-man charity. He was one guy who took tens of millions of dollars, probably hundreds of millions over the years, from some of the biggest operations around the world, and just happens to, also be directly involved with funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology and trying to cover up for the lab leak theory. I don't know. Just kind of a weird coincidence, don't you think?
Yeah. They list the things that Google.org is mentioned in, and it includes that bat flavivirus study. And that, you know, the one we just talked about there, it includes the National Institute of Health and the U.S. Agency for International Development, the International Development's Emerging Pandemic Threat Program, a study published in 2014 on the Hanipa virus spillover into human populations, also lists Daszak as co-author. And again, in the acknowledgement section of the study, it says Metabiota Global Viral's role in this study was supported by Google.org, the Skoll Foundation, and in particular the U.S. Agency for International Development. Similarly, a 2015 paper on herpes lists Daszak as also credits to Google.org. More recently, EcoHealth Alliance researchers authored a report on a 2018 study that looked at, quote, perceptions associated with transmission of pathogens with pandemic potential in highly exposed human populations at the animal-human interface.
Wow.
Yeah. The report noted it was made possible by Google.org's funding. Lies, just conspiracy theories. We didn't fund the COVID-19.
I know, they really came out with some pretty strong words there. They don't like being implicated in things.
Well, it's because they built kind of a straw man, or they just, it's, you know, it's like they, if somebody committed a crime and it was a shooting going on, you know, or something. I don't know. My analogy is not very good, but
sure.
But then, like saying, "Well, no, there was no knife. We didn't use a knife." You know, there's like nothing to do with it. So I don't know. It's just kind of a way to pretend like you're not involved.
Yeah.
For a public statement from Google there, but
yeah.
There's not much else. I mean, other than
we're gonna move on here, and we forgot to mention we need to keep today's show slightly shorter. Gonz has some important stuff he's got to get to, and I have a Illuminati lizard person meeting I gotta go listen in on.
I do have this one last thing highlighted. Dazik was one of 28 experts from around the world asked to analyze how best to respond to the pandemic. The panel comprised leading global figures in public health, economics, philanthropy, diplomacy, and politics. It is organized by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network.
Ah, perfect.
So the UN 2030 agenda behind the Solutions Network.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a network of solutions, Gonz.
Oh, these people. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
We have one more story before we go into the break here, but I want to mention, since we've been trying to get people to go follow the backup channel, Canary Cry News Talk YouTube channel. Remember that it is not searchable. It has not existed for long enough. We've only got 40 people subscribed to it so far, and we need to hit certain milestones to be able to change that URL and live stream and stuff like that. So I'm going to be posting this link again in the chat. Go do it now, please. Go subscribe. You're gonna be happy that you did. Okay, now one last story here. Oh, that's great. I tried to post the link and it didn't let me do it. Come on, I'm the boss around here. You're not gonna let the boss post his own link? All right, maybe you can try, Gonz. One last story here from the Philippines. This is coming from Reuters.com, and the headline is Philippines' Duterte threatens vaccine decliners with jail, animal drug. Oh, boy.
I love this. This is propaganda at its finest, I have to say. I was floored when I found out what this animal drug was.
Yeah. So there we go. Philippines' Duterte threatens vaccine decliners with jail, animal drug. Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte, frustrated by the slow pace of COVID-19 vaccinations in his country, threatened people who refuse to get inoculated with jail or an injection of ivermectin, an anti-parasite drug widely used to treat animals. Listen to the propaganda. This is
insane.
Incredible. Ivermectin, look, I'm not a doctor, but there's been lots of talk, including peer-reviewed studies coming out about the benefits of ivermectin as far as COVID-19 treatment goes. So far so that Indian doctors are just taking ivermectin prophylactically, to protect themselves from COVID while they treat people. But Duterte, get the vaccine or take this animal drug, ivermectin. Which is
I'm surprisingly feeling so much better after taking that thing.
I love that animal drug. I mean, and it's not wrong. I think they'll get into it here, but ivermectin most commonly in the past has been used as a horse dewormer or something
like that, yeah.
Yeah. Ivermectin has been touted as an alternative treatment for COVID-19, but U.S. and European regulators and the World Health Organization have recommended against it. Quote, "You choose vaccine or I will have you jailed," Duterte said in a televised address late on Monday, following reports of low turnout at several vaccination sites in the capital, Manila. Quote, "But for as long as you are here and you are a human being and can carry the virus, get vaccinated. Otherwise, I will order all the village captains to have a tally of the people who refuse to be vaccinated, because if not, I will have ivermectin meant for pigs injected into you."
Whoa, dude.
Dude, this Duterte guy is a savage. You've been following his thing, right, for the past few years? Yes, he's this total savage. He's kind of like the Trump. He's been compared to the Trump of the Philippines. He's very tough on crime. I mean, I think he throws around capital punishment like it's like it's confetti.
You drop some gum on the street, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Duterte is famous for his bellicose rhetoric, and his remarks on Monday contradicted those of his health officials, who have said getting vaccinated against COVID-19 is voluntary. Yeah, so it's kind of like Trump. He'll just sort of like threaten you. But he doesn't really mean it, you know. He's just he's a rhetorician. He just says things. Quote, "Don't get me wrong, there is a crisis in this country," Duterte said. Quote, "I'm just exasperated by Filipinos not heeding the government." You know,
Maybe.
I know the feeling, Duterte. Sometimes I get exasperated when people don't follow us in other places besides YouTube.
Oh, now you're really coming after.
Gotcha. With over 1.3 million cases, the Philippines is fighting one of Asia's most stubborn COVID-19 epidemics. A little typo there.
Typo.
But as of June 20th, just 2.1 million people have been fully vaccinated of the 70 million people targeted for this year.
Ooh,
Duterte, yes, targeted. Duterte, who has been criticized for his tough approach to containing the virus, also stood by his decision not to let schools reopen. In the same televised address, he took a swipe at the International Criminal Court after an ICC prosecutor sought permission from the court for a full inquiry into thousands of killings by police in a war on drugs ordered by Duterte. Duterte, who canceled the Philippines' membership of the ICC's founding treaty, said he would not cooperate with the probe and described the ICC as bull hockey.
Aborted feces.
Quote, why would I defend or face an accusation before white people? You must be crazy, he said. Oh, this guy is intense. Human rights groups say authorities have summarily executed drug suspects, but Duterte maintains those killed had violently resisted arrest. A likely story. Asked for comment, ICC court spokesperson Fadi El Abdallah said, quote, the court is an independent judicial institution and does not comment on political statements. So there you go, Duterte doing Duterte's thing.
Yeah, this is great. It's interesting because I feel like the world elite, I'm just picturing, like a Bohemian Grove type of situation where the lizard people come out and they're like, we will test all of you in your authority and your ability to get people vaccinated. It just feels like a game, doesn't it? That all these politicians and presidents and leaders and everything all around the world, they're just on this crazy campaign to get as many people vaccinated. And it's almost like a test. And they're like fearful. They're like, I have to meet my quota or the lizard person will eat me. They have that weird fear of not meeting their quota. It's very bizarre.
It's true. And again, with Duterte, it seems to be a little bit of a pride issue as well. His whole image is built around being this strong man who can boss people around, and people aren't listening to him. And he is, quote, exasperated by people not listening.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He admits to being exasperated by it.
That's what I'm saying. He's probably scared that he's going to be eaten. It's a competition. He doesn't want to lose to to Biden.
Yeah.
On the jab. Yeah,
right. He's got to look good to all these white people he doesn't like, apparently.
I know. It's so funny. I could get before white hogs and talk about these ridiculous accusations.
We can't let these white hogs out-vaccinate us. I'm the boss around here.
All right. That's all we got.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I think time to take a little break.
Yep.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're just going to take a quick little break and celebrate some producers of the show, but don't go anywhere. After the break, we got an update on the Great Reset, a little bit of interesting reporting on how conspiracy theorists are being seen, a little bit of update about the World Economic Forum, and then just a small little politics section at the end of the show. So stick around. But first, we want to thank some of our producers. That's right. I said producers. This isn't just some hobbled together two-man show. No, we've got producers all around the world who are pitching in to make this show happen. And that comes in many forms, such as your time, your talent, or your treasure. That's right. Lots of ways to get involved with the show, and we truly could not do it without our producers. So we like to thank them. First, we'll be thanking our financial producers, and that's just, you heard me right, financial producers. You might notice we have no advertisements on the show, no affiliate codes, no corporate money whatsoever. We're not even selling any male enhancement supplements. That's right, baby. We're fully on the value for value model. And you might think, well, value for value model, that just sounds like another way of just begging for money. Well, not to say that you're wrong, but you're not quite right, because what the value for value model is a true revolution in media. And more Gonz, we're seeing the value for value model being picked up by bigger and bigger entities, because not just mainstream. There's certainly, you've got mainstream outlets begging for donations now and, telling everybody to chip in and whatnot. But independent media, which is at this point the most trusted form of media around the world, mainly because of the fact that we are not held to corporate standards. We don't have to remain brand friendly. We're able to talk about whatever we want, whenever we want. We have no lines that we have any bosses or money people making sure we don't cross those lines. And even better, there's no threat of being shut down or having funding taken away because we talk about things that, some corporation doesn't want us to talk about. It truly is the only way to have a true free media today. And that means it means a couple of things. Number one, it's a bit of a living by faith type of operation around here. But it also gives you, dear listener, the opportunity to become a producer. That means taking some ownership of the media that you appreciate, taking some responsibility for the longevity of the media that you want to keep going. In the previous model with advertisements, things like that, if you don't want something to continue, you just watch something else, and that piece of media continues on, spreading the theology, the ideology of the advertising industry. But here, it's going to be pretty easy to tell, Gonz, when the world has had enough of us, because the producers will stop producing. But that day is not this day, because we've got some producers to thank, Gonz. Are you ready to thank them? Oh, do you have anything else to say about the value for value model first?
I am ready to thank everybody, or the producers of the show. And also, just real quick, you mentioned it. I was looking at a tweet from David Knight over at the David Knight Show. He used to be an anchor on the Alex Jones InfoWars channel, and he got kicked out, basically fired. Okay. And, there's big tech, YouTube, Google censorship happening against David Knight in terms of, his YouTube channel and everything else. But he's also getting all his stuff removed from band.video, which is Alex Jones's video, alternative video site.
Oh, wow.
Which is very interesting.
That's pretty intense, getting removed from banned video.
Right. So the value for value model, the value of it, it supersedes any kind of censorship, whether it's Google or YouTube or Alex Jones banning you from band.video. You know what I mean? So it's a very important part of moving forward in this crazy dystopia that we're moving into, of how to support content that you see as valuable. So just wanted to mention that.
I know. Yeah. And it really does feel great. We, you and I, we support value for value shows that we enjoy and want to keep going. And not only does it feel good to the producer that they're able to make another show, but I don't know, there's something about it. I can't really describe it. It feels like a true rebellion. We're so indoctrinated into this system of advertising where we expect everything to be free, and we're just sort of spoon-fed. Whatever is given to us, we're just spoon-fed. It's sort of the basis of of this ideological sickness going on around the world. And if I may make a horrible metaphor, the value for value model, participating in it feels like the ivermectin of where advertisements might be a vaccine. Ivermectin is the value for value model. Don't quote me on that. That's not a great metaphor, but you get the point that I'm trying to make. So there we go. Okay, I want to quickly let you know that, again, head over to CanaryCry.Party. It's got all our links for all of our streaming stuff there, and also you can follow our backup channel on Canary Cry News Talk, CanaryCry.Party. Go there. But you'll also see a little button at the top that says become a producer. That's an easy way to make it happen. But we also have producers. Well, we also have patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. That's patreon.com/CCNT. But it's a short segment today, Gonz. We have no new Patreon producers.
Yay.
So I guess that helps keeps the short show today.
John McAfee dies by suicide. Breaking.
Really?
Yeah.
Breaking right now.
Hours after Spanish court authorized his extradition to the U.S., he was found. Looks like he hung himself in the prison there in Spain.
A likely story. What was he in trouble for?
Tax evasion in the U.S.
Why would you suicide yourself for tax evasion? I don't know. We'll look into that later. That sounds like something to dig into for next show.
Yeah.
But Patreon is not the only way to become a producer. Don't worry. A lot of people don't like Patreon. That's why we have CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. CanaryCryRadio.com/support is a great place to become a producer. You can read all about the value for value model there. You can become a producer in many ways, including cryptocurrency, if that's your thing. But there's also a monthly producership option if you're looking for a nice set it and forget it option, and you want to continue supporting the show, but just don't want to have to set your reminder every month. But for those who commitment is not their thing, you can become a one-time producer in any amount. And Gonz, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
On the PayPal, we have many recurring producers out there and knights and dames. We want to say thank you to all of you. Don't always mention your names, but we do appreciate it. First up here, no executive producers or associate executive producers today, but we want to start with producer Igor K.
Thank you very much, producer. That's Igorius over there in Europe. He comes in with $52.63. He says, keep it up, guys. Episode 354. 5263. I wonder what the secret code is there.
I don't know, but if it keeps going, it'll be 74, 85, 96. You see the pattern?
Oh, old code breaker Gonz is in the house.
Yeah, I've taken some IQ tests. So you look for patterns.
Okay.
Next up, we have producer Juan E.
Thank you very much, producer Juan E. Coming in with $44.56. 4456.
And he has a note here. He says, Gonz and Basil, first of all, I have to thank you guys for finally doing something consistently. LOL. I started listening to you guys in 2012, which is the year of the birthing of Canary Cry Radio. So
wow. So he's been listening since Canary Cry Radio started. That's pretty impressive.
And I have to say, you guys have definitely been a huge part of my spiritual walk. There have been many times where the Lord has used you guys to keep me encouraged. What you guys are doing now is very much appreciated. At this point in my life, you guys are one of my main sources for news and information. I love how the Lord is using you guys to reveal the truth without causing us to get into a panic mode or to be overtaken by fear.
Amen.
That's very good. Anyways, I did have a question for you guys. My best friend and I have started our own podcast as well.
Good.
It's a Mexican and a redneck father the world. Our goal, I like the name. Our goal is to encourage fathers and young men to walk in their true identity, and also Malachi 4 verses 4 through 6. And Juan, I did check out episode 1 of the show. And
you did?
I did. I enjoyed it. It's only about 15 minutes long, so that's nice. It's a quick, short thing. One thing that I will mention, and this is more of a production thing, and maybe it was fixed in the later episodes because I think they have like 4 or 5 episodes. The panning of the show. I had one person coming in the right ear and the other person coming in the left ear.
The old stereo effect.
The stereo effect. So if you guys can pull it into mono.
Those tracks mono. There you go.
Yeah. It's it'll just make it easier for people to hear if sometimes if that gets blasted through a building or something like that, half the conversation's not going to be heard.
Yeah.
So
maybe they're going for that ASMR effect. a Mexican and a redneck father of the world. ASMR experience.
The Mexican tickles my right ear and the redneck tickles my left ear.
Left.
And he had some questions about podcasting 2.0. We'll get back to you, Juan, on some of that, but we really appreciate the producership and the long-time listenership, and praise God for using us in your walk. It's really not our thing. It's God doing his thing. So,
and he did Malachi 4:4-6. Reading from the NIV here. Remember the law of my servant Moses, the decrees and laws I gave him at Horeb for Israel. See, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before the great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. He will turn the hearts of the parents to their children and the hearts of the children to their parents, or else I will come and strike the land with total destruction. Thank you very much. It sounds like a situation we need a Mexican and a redneck father to help us out with.
Amen. Thank you very much, producer Juan. And moving on, we have producer Brian D.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer Brian D, coming in with 4179, another secret code.
Yep.
I did not see a note from Brian.
I didn't either.
Okay.
We can remedy that if we missed it.
Sure.
Next up, we have producer Tracy R.
Woo! Producer Tracy R came in, sent the note over on Twitch there. This comes in for $33.33. And this is Mom with a sword and shield in the Twitch chat. And she sends a note. She's our Illuminati handler for today's show. Hey guys, I wanted to share this note with my producership, but it was too long to type in the PayPal notes. 10 days before he passed away, my father-in-law prayed because he saw a light in a hole in the ceiling where he also saw his mama waving at him. Wow. And he didn't know how to get to her. Quote, call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things, fenced in and hidden, which you do not know. Do not distinguish and recognize, have knowledge of, and understand. That's Jeremiah 33:3. After my father-in-law prayed, he said, quote, I'll see you in 10 days, Mama. And exactly 10 days later, he passed away, just as he said, quote, when this comes to pass, for behold, it will come. Then shall they know, understand, and realize that a prophet has been among them. Ezekiel 33:33. AMPC. And these scriptures are the ones the Lord put in my heart to share when I shared this testimony. So, of course, I had to share with my Canary family, all caps, because nobody would be able to appreciate the 33:3 ding.
Oh, do I need a ding?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, sorry. Over here.
There we go. Because nobody would be able to appreciate the 33:3 ding.
Another ding.
I'm keeping you on it, bro. 33:33 ding. Like y'all. So in honor of the godliest men I've ever known, Carlton Roberts, I want to give 33:33 to the coolest watchman ever. Love you, Gonz and Basil. Well, thank you very much, producer Tracy. And again, that's Mom with a sword and shield in the Twitch chat.
Yeah,
and what an incredible story about your father-in-law there.
Yeah, I love these kind of stories. It makes me comforted, because I don't know, maybe it's my age. I start thinking about death more. It's just like, wow.
Said
it's
the 39-year-old young man.
Hey, I'm not 39 yet.
Oh yeah.
I forget how old I am. It's happened the last couple years.
You complain about being almost 40 so often. I forget you're not even 39.
I know, but it's all the same after like 36. It's all just a blur.
Who's next on the list?
All right, next up we have producer Rebecca B.
Here we go. Producer Rebecca B coming in with 3322. Oh, a little mix between a Illuminati handler and a Skull and Bones here. She sends a note in honor of my 33rd birthday on the 22nd. Oh my gosh, that's today. That's yesterday.
Yesterday.
Am I a shill? Well, num 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 num. Nice one, Rebecca. Pretty please play me some Biden jingles to make me giggle.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Come on, man. Boy, it's really a productive segment, man. 120 days.
Oh, you got them all lined up. Good.
Give me a break.
We should probably play Happy Birthday, too.
Need time.
Hold on. I need time, man. Just give me a moment, all right?
It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
There you go.
Keep yapping, man.
Happy birthday to producer Rebecca B, turning 33. Now's your year.
Yep.
All right.
Careful.
Who's next?
Next up, we have producer James H.
James H coming in with $15.54. And let's see, he is on a streak.
They're on a streak.
Been producing for 6 episodes in a row, and that means James H is on fire.
He's on fire!
Woo! Thank you very much. And James H, are we going to go into? Yeah, okay. So a little catch up because we've been having some anonymous crypto donations last week and previously as well. And James H was on a streak, but was not listed in last week's producership because he made a crypto donation and we missed the email with his name. Remember, all that crypto stuff is anonymous unless you let us know. So he did come in, but we just didn't know. So we're going to keep James H's streak going.
Very good. And from here on out, the rest of the people on the list on a streak, you are getting a shorter version of the streak jingle per request by Basil to keep things moving. And the first victim shall be producer Aaron J.
And he's on a streak. You know, all the streakers. We just had been playing that jingle like 8 times in a row every episode, and it's fine. I do like it. It's a catchy tune, but you play it enough, we're actually adding significant time to the show. So anyways, Aaron J, thanks for coming in. You're on a streak, and that is 6 episodes in a row. Means Aaron J is on fire.
He's on fire!
Thank you very much. And Aaron came in with 1313.
Ooh. Hope it's not Friday. Next up, we have Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight is on a streak. And 23 episodes in a row, our current longest streaker. And we appreciate it very much, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
I just pictured Will Ferrell in a movie.
We're going streaking! You know, maybe that we should do that. See, I'm fine with the length of playing streak jingles, but maybe if we got a variety of streak jingles.
Sure.
So if somebody wants to clip or make another jingle of maybe several different streaking jingles, that way we can put some variety in the streakers here.
Okay, excellent. You got something else to say?
No, who's next?
Next up, we have Tristan H.
That's right, Tristan H. This is on a streak.
Oh.
11 episodes in a row. Thank you very much. Coming in with 354, the show number producership.
Next up, we have producer Scott K.
Woo! Scott K's on a streak. 16 episodes in a row, coming in with $3.54, the show number producership.
Thank you, Scott K. Next up,
Thank
producer Kim W.
Kim W. is also on a streak. Coming in 9 episodes in a row. That means Kim W is lit.
Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
That's right. Coming in with 333, one of our mini Illuminati handlers here. Revelation 3:5, he who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. And here's another little update. Please contact Kimberly, Shield Maiden for Christ, at maidservant of Christ 88. That's maidservant of Christ 88 at protonmail.com. Maybe let's pop that into the chat for anybody. Or find the Oregon meetup post on Canary Cry Community. If you're interested in the Northern Oregon, Southern Washington meetup in Estacada, I would like to plan a short hike and share a meal with my fellow Canarians on Saturday. Estacada is a reported Bigfoot hotspot not far from the Mount Hood National Forest. So if you are in the Northern Oregon, Southern Washington area, you want to get in touch with producer Kimberly here. Going to go Bigfoot hunting, going to go on a hike. It's going to be a great time. Thank you very much, Kim, for putting on one of these Canary Cry meetups. Everybody should be attending these if possible. So if you're in the Northern Oregon, Southern Washington area, contact maidservant of Christ 88 at protonmail.com. I've not seen a date set yet, so it sounds like we're trying to get some people, see who's interested, and then set a dates and stuff like that. So there you go. Get in contact with Kim W. Or you can always go to CanaryCry.Community and find the thread.
All right. A couple more here. Producer, is it Laura E?
You know, I think yes, Laura E. Laura E, you're putting your name on the note here. You need to explicitly, in written permission, tell us if you want us to say your full government name or not. So for now, you are Laura E, and thank you for your producership. And she says, God bless, from Laura E.
Yep. And lastly here, producer Ciara F.
Real quick, hold on. Let's pause, rewind just a bit, because we got to talk about meetups with producer Ciara. We had one person, Ethan N, rounding third, sliding into home with a producership just at the last second, and a little note here that says, another day, another dollar. Thank you very much, producer Ethan N.
Thank you, Ethan N.
There we go.
Is there an amount, or is it a?
It is a non-sayable amount.
Okay.
I mean, you could get the hint.
Okay.
In the note.
Got it.
Okay. Producer Ciara. Thank you very much, producer Ciara. Coming in to produce the show. Did she come in last episode?
She did not. I checked.
Okay, no streak. Sorry, Ciara. But does have a note here. Meet up on Saturday. Can't wait to see y'all at 1 p.m. Let me know if you plan to attend. The flyer photo is where we meet. You got that flyer?
Yep, right here. It's Torrance Beach, California, 1 p.m. And yep, there's a picture of the place. I guess that's where we're going to meet.
That's right. Torrance, California. What beach is it? Special beach name?
Torrance Beach.
Torrance Beach. Okay, there you go. Torrance Beach. And email Ciara Lauren 93. That's CIARALAUREN 93 at gmail.com. And Gonz, I think we confirmed you're going to be there for some amount of time with the fam.
Yes.
Okay.
Dragging the wife and kids along. And
now, I know we have a bunch of Southern California producers and listeners. So if you're down in Southern California, plan on making that trip. Hang out with Gonz. Don't leave them hanging. I mean, I guess it's fine. Whoever shows up, that's great. But people have been asking for a Southern California meetup for years. So now's your chance. Hopefully you can make it.
Yeah. Yeah, the wife wasn't too excited to go.
She wasn't looking to get sand in her shoes?
No, she I don't know. She was like, I don't know about just going to hang out with your fan club. And I'm like, it's not a fan club. She's like picturing me and like all these people just Gonz. I'm like, no, that's not.
Sign some autographs, you know.
I'll be on
take some selfies.
Yeah, you're going to have to hold them back with their, you know, and you're
beat
going
them
to have to
beat them back with sticks.
Yeah.
That's funny. She'll have fun. Everybody will have fun.
I know.
That's right. Make sure to tell Gonz's wife how awesome she is.
Yeah,
we'll have to do
that.
An Aaron fan club.
Oh, well, we can.
That's what it should have been. That should have been the marketing for the Southern California meetup.
Next one.
Okay.
You just doxed my wife's name.
You've said it 1,000 times on the show.
It's not a big deal. Just kidding, bro. Chill.
All right.
Chill,
okay.
bro.
Yeah, this is a really funny joke, dude. Who's next?
All right. That does it for the producers of the show for The Treasure. We thank you. We appreciate it. I do want to thank real quick. There's an anonymous family. They'd like to remain anonymous. Who sends snail mail and a check every so often. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And actually,
thank you very much.
If they would like, I think they at a certain point, I think they are considered to be knight or dame if they would like.
Well, they're not considered until we knight them, but
sure,
yes, if they've reached the knighting amount, we would love to knight them.
Yes, they have
just gotta let us know.
Surpassed the threshold, so if they want
wonderful.
To, they can. We want to thank Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps for episode 253.
Thank you very much,
Jade Bouncerson. Time, it's really appreciated. Other ways you can produce the show is with your talent, and one way you can do that is to send in jingles.
We have a new jingle.
And we have one today from Eyes to See for Me. He has a note here, and it says, "Gents, to answer the request for a jingle for the streak of 12 drop."
Might as well be walking on the sun.
And
there it is.
And this is demonetized now.
Oh no, we don't get that sweet YouTube money.
Yeah, the thing that we haven't had in over a year at least.
I don't even know what that's like.
Yeah. And to answer Gonz's request for Biden calling Trump a clown.
Folks, do you have any idea what this clown's doing?
Oh my god.
It's not great because they're talking over each other. Yeah, it's not a great
That was
ISO.
That whole debate though. That was
blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
That was when Biden's the facade began to drop and show that he was truly just a cranky old man.
Unhinged.
Yeah.
And this is a note continuing on here. Lastly, a prayer request, please. I have lost my ministry job due to lack of financial backing, so I humbly ask for prayer for a new job serving in a position that is pleasing to the Lord. I have faith that God will come through big. I appreciate the prayers from the Producers and the Canarium. And Jesus answered them, "Truly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, it will happen. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." Matthew 12, verse 21 through 22.
That's right. So calling all producers, the Canary Cry producers. That's right. The very powerful intercessors who answer the call when a prayer request is sent in. There you go. We need to get Eyes to See for Me. Need some prayer for a new job. So there you go. Get to work. Do we have a producers jingle? I feel like we do.
Yeah.
You have to dig it out somewhere.
Yeah. I need to restart another board here because there's just a lot going on.
You're freshen it up, baby. Well, thank you very much, Eyes to See for Me, for that new streak jingle. Love it. We're getting to the point where we have jingles for almost every streak so far, except for producer or Sir Casey the Shield Knight is going to hit another streak level next on Friday, and I got to think of something.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We want to thank the people who produce the show with their time and talent with artwork as well.
One art, please.
And we're going to start, as always, with producer Allie, who has her own jingle for her art. And this one's very interesting. The note that came with it. Today, Allie commemorates the guy behind the other guy, the FDA's Peter Marks, the most amazing man you have never heard of. From today's USA Today article posted on MSN News and linked below. Earlier this month, Dr. Peter Marks helped make the decision to ditch 60 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine, worried they might have been manufactured under unsafe conditions. In April, he was part of the group that ordered the pause of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine when it appeared the shots were causing a potential fatal side effect. And early last spring, he played a pivotal role in an all-out effort to quickly develop and mass-produce hundreds of millions of doses of COVID-19 vaccine. To add urgency, he named the project after the incredibly fast rate of spaceship... He named the project after the incredibly fast rate a spaceship could travel on the cult classic TV series Star Trek Warp Speed. Marks, 57, who runs a division of the Food and Drug Administration, has played a key role in nearly every major vaccine-related decision since the U.S.'s COVID-19 outbreak began. Quote, the U.S. response to the pandemic as far as vaccines was largely his concept, says Dr. Jane Woodcock, acting FDA director and Marks's boss. It was his idea, she said, for the government to help vaccine companies quickly produce enough safe and effective vaccines for every American. Quote, it was definitely Peter who put the idea together for Operation Warp Speed for vaccines, end quote. There is more, so much more, to learn about this pioneer and sheer all-around excellence that can be read at the following link, which is a MSN article here.
Interesting.
I've heard of this guy.
I'd
not
heard
much
the
attention.
Name. Yeah, but I didn't really know who he was. Maybe this guy deserves a deep dive, I think.
Yeah, he's Marks of the Beast.
Peter Marks of the Beast. Yeah. Interesting. Well, there you go. And Ali did a wonderful portrait of him in profile here. You know, the funny thing about these profile pictures, and when I say profile, I mean by the side, from the side rather, is that means he doesn't have any official, PR headshots taken.
Yeah.
This is some sort of secret, candid picture. Of course, on this article here is a picture of him sitting at some sort of Senate hearing or something. Who knows? Maybe this fellow will have more to answer to later on.
Yep. Very good. Thank you very much, Ali. Both not just for the art, but also for the information. Staying on top of it. Producers producing the show.
Yeah, I got to look into this guy.
Next up, we have one from producer Dove. And the note here, great. Peace. Had the idea for this one last week after hearing you guys read the article about Billy G owning all the farmland that grows the McDonald's French fry potatoes. I thought it's really great that a guy has his finger in so many pies and owns 500,000 shares of stock in Monsanto, also tends to the spuds that feed millions of Americans. He's truly selfless. So I drew up a scene down on the farm with Bill as Ronald McDonald. He thought enough time has passed since the killer clown scare of 2016. And the other two amigos making an appearance, giving a helping hand to their buddy. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins. Thank you very much.
Love it. And in classic fashion, Dove has... created a whole scene here for us. Of course, we've got Bill Gates right up front and center as Ronald McDonald.
Oh, gosh.
As if Ronald McDonald could be any more terrifying than he already is. You put Bill Gates in the makeup, and yep, you did it, Dove. You really took it to the next level. And the logo for the McDonald's is not McDonald's, it's McSanto, which is perfect. He's got the logo on his shirt there and on the French fry container. Now, in the bottom left, we've got Dr. Fauci as some sort of
bottom right.
What did I say?
You said bottom left.
Bottom right, we've got Dr. Fauci as some sort of field mouse some sort of rodent down in the potato bushes there.
Well, he
holding
a
little,
mouse.
Yeah, holding a little sign that says "Science is
truth."
Truth. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, wow. Dove has an amazing ability to anthropomorphize things that in perfectly recognizable way.
Yeah.
That is definitely Dr. Mouschi.
Mousy Fauci.
Yeah, Mousy Fauci. Up in the top right, we've got a man driving a tractor. You zoom in. Who's that? That's right. It's the third amigo of the pandemic, and it's Dr. Francis Collins driving a tractor. Looking as friendly as always. I mean, that's
just real unsuspecting.
Francis Collins, for being one of the architects of the whole thing, is a very friendly-looking fella, driving his tractor, tending to the spuds. And if you notice, Gonz, up in the sky there, we've got a grid of chemtrails, of course.
Yeah.
And my current viewing is not letting me zoom in. Can you zoom in all the way into that grain silo?
Yes. There's you, I think, and me as canaries.
Oh, we're back there?
Oh, we're back there. And I think I'm spray painting. Yeah, I'm spray painting on it. You can't stop the canarium.
You can't stop the canarium. Yes. Infamous farm vandals, the canarium.
Yeah, very good.
This is great. Thank you very much, Producer Dove. And I'm saying it now. I promise. I'm going to start putting these on the Instagram, at least the Instagram, if not the Twitter.
Please.
I think Instagram is the best place to put art. We've got a whole bunch of art from all of our artists. I'm not going to put up everything just because that's insane. And since I've been doing the clips of the show, I'm doing more social media than I want to, but I'm doing it for the people. I'm doing it for the show. It's a pain in my butt. Doing social media takes forever, but I'll be taking select pieces from the history of Canary Cry art, and I'll start putting them up on the Instagram there. So if you have Instagram, follow us at Canary.Cry.Radio. Go say hi to me. I actually respond probably the most through Instagram than anything else.
Whoa, you're totally hip to Insta.
I know. Well, you got to keep that engagement going.
Yeah.
I hear.
All right. Thank you, Producer Dove. Keep them coming. This is fantastic. These are like poster worthy.
Oh, by the way, I'm saying it. I'm putting it out now. This is what I meant. The whole reason I brought that up. I do kind of want to put a little Canary Cry News Talk watermark on these. Not that I'm trying to steal them, but if one of them goes viral or something, I want to make sure people learn about the show through it.
Yeah.
It's the whole point.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
As a producer of Canary Cry News Talk, you are just automatically giving us permission to use these pieces of art in marketing.
Sorry, I just randomly on Twitter, this tweet popped up that said, "For what it's worth, McAfee," that's John McAfee, "probably took some Bitcoin to his grave. Thanks for reducing the supply, bro."
That's true. He probably did. We're jumping around quite a bit, but I do also want to say if the artists are on Instagram, just to be clear, I will tag you as the artist, but you got to reach out so I know that you have an Instagram account.
All right. And last but not least, producer Mr. Jag, that's the Hungry Hungarian,
did
a little comic strip for us.
Yes. There we go. This is great. It's another, how like with Marvel or Spider-Man or something, they'll have like adjacent universes. You've got the Spider-Verse. It lets them make several different timelines of Spider-Man, so you can have as many comic books as you possibly could want in different variations. I feel like that's what's starting to happen with the Canary Cry comics, because we've had Canary Cry comics come in the past, but it totally works because it's it's the Canary Cry-averse. It's the multiverse. But today we've got one coming from the Hungry Hungarian. That's our Canary Cry Hungarian over there. Canary Cry Comics, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. Now, what we've got here is a grid of comic book cells here. There is the Face Like the Sun logo That's you, Gonz.
Yay.
I don't know if you made that connection.
Yes.
But then there's me, a googly-eyed little ball of love and fluff. And starts out, I think I come up to you, I say, hey, what you doing? And you say, just standing on both dry ground and on this puddle. I have an idea. We need to move the show to my channel with lots of green bananas in order to avoid deletion. And
my eyes are very...
And then, yes, the Face Like the Sun logo here is shooting either lasers or water or something.
Lasers.
It's lasers.
Well,
Is it lasers?
You have to explain in the last frame when you have the idea to move everything to your channel. I'm not really having it. I have the half eyes.
You're keeping the IP, the intellectual property, just keeping it on Face Like the Sun. Okay, I see how it is. Thus starts the Canary Cry IP wars. So you shoot lasers at me, and I catch on fire. You say, just use different platforms, okay? And then at the end, the last cell, you've got Mr. Jag himself, just looking confused, and says, "What?" The self-awareness, Mr. Jag, is very endearing.
I like it. I love it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much to our hungry Hungarian, Mr. Jag.
Yep. Thank you very much. And that does it for all the producers. Thank you for producing episode 354.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I'll just do a quick shout out again. Let me check the numbers, Gonz. Let me check some stats here. I'm going to reload the Canary Cry News Talk YouTube page. We're only up to 56. Okay, the numbers are not adding up here, folks. Thank you for following Canary Cry News Talk YouTube page as our backup page. Now, remember, it's not searchable, so you can't just search it and find it. You must follow the link that you can find at CanaryCry.Party. It's a URL. Put it in your address bar, CanaryCry.Party, and you'll see the link, a couple links down, for the Canary Cry News Talk backup YouTube channel. If you're not following it, I'm telling you, you Face Like the Sun folks, you're going to lose the show again. It's inevitable. And unfortunately, it's one strike away from complete disappearance. So if it happens again, you're going to miss out. So follow us in other locations, including our backup accounts. There you go, CanaryCry.Party. And you can also get the link to the Discord channel there. That continues to grow. Thank you, everybody, for joining that. And thanks, Adam42, for managing the Discord server for us. And, of course, there's CanaryCry.Community, which is our off Facebook, no algorithm social media network just for Canarians, just like you. And that's managed by Smiley. That's right. Okay, all done. You ready to get back to the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Back to the show here.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And we're 17 minutes past the time that I'm supposed to be finished. Just to let you know.
Okay, we gotta speed through this
very, very quickly. This first one's very.
This first one.
Yeah, it's quick.
We need a great reset.
Learn to use the dark side.
This is dailyrecord.co.uk, and it speaks to how conspiracy theorists are being labeled and framed in the public.
Yeah.
And the headline here, conspiracy theorist who believed, quote, the Great Reset was on way, attacked pregnant partner with hammer. Ugh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anthony.
Interesting how they just had to mention he believed the Great Reset was coming, as if that's a conspiracy theory.
That's what I'm. Yes.
That's
what I was
not a
going to say.
Conspiracy theory. It is a public plan put out by the World Economic Forum.
We need a great reset.
That's the guy who created the World Economic Forum. It's not a conspiracy theory.
They put out their own marketing materials, videos, pamphlets, everything. It's not a conspiracy theory.
Anthony Beckett, age 33, launched the terrifying attack after becoming obsessed with theories regarding political events such as the U.S. election and believed the Chinese were coming for him. And, we don't have to get into the detail. Yeah, they're coming for all of us. It's not just this guy. Yeah, it's sad. He went after his pregnant girlfriend there. He was a heavy cannabis user. I don't know why that's important, but they include it in the report.
Yeah, again, a weird choice to try to demonize cannabis use when that's like, I don't know, the coolest thing you can do as far as secular media is concerned.
Yeah. He hit her head using a hammer to her skull. It was an unrelenting attack, and it was just pretty brutal. The result here is that it's funny because it has like quotes like, she was terrified. Like, no kidding.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no kidding.
The woman lost consciousness, but came around to find herself still in the bath. She was thrown into the bath there, being strangled. A police search of the house unearthed a dagger, machete, and a homemade noose. The victim suffered a wound and bruising to her head. Beckett told the police he had asked his partner if she would die, quote, before the Chinese arrived. He pleaded guilty to the charge of attempted murder, and Beckett is serving 10 years in prison there. So,
yeah, I mean, no kidding.
And this is a point I really want to mention with this is that, and this should be obvious to our listeners, it's not the conspiracy theories that drove this man to beat up his pregnant partner with a hammer or try to choke her.
The story isn't even about him. It's not the reason for the story is not to learn about this horrible thing the guy did. It's specifically to demonize people who are, again, not conspiracy theorists. They are just paying attention to the public marketing of the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, so crazy. I thought it was pretty nuts that they would even have this headline and include this. I think it is a minority.
It really is sick.
It's got to be the minority that are thinking this way. It's the very few in the mainstream. But anyway, I was pretty appalled. And the fact that he was 33 years old just added to the whole high strangeness of the situation. You want to take this next one here just real briefly?
Yes, I do. Another World Economic Forum update here coming from India Today. The headline, Earth's orbit is congesting. World Economic Forum as a solution.
we need a great reset of space.
Got the final solution to the space traffic. With the low Earth orbit becoming highly congested due to new satellite launches, the threat of collisions among these satellites and an increase in space debris remain high. The World Economic Forum has now launched a global initiative to develop a space sustainability rating that will shed light on the rising threat.
Yay.
World Economic Forum, is there anything you can't do? You just literally, they just step into anything they want. Whatever will give them influence, they have an opinion about.
I bet you Klaus is just one of these. He must be a really good handyman. Fixing everything around the house. You know?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Like, the sink is broken. I will fix it. We need a faucet. Great reset of the faucet. And then they're like, there's debris in space. We will reset space. Anyway.
With his space-age shoulder pads. Just real quick, the forum will score space operators on the missions they launch and aims to increase transparency towards their actions in protecting the space environment. It's not enough to protect the Earth environment. We must protect this space environment. The WEF has selected the EPFL Space Center based at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Lausanne, to conduct the ratings. I think this is a way to, get like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk under their thumb.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it is. It's a control mechanism for those pesky billionaires who are doing whatever they want. You gotta get those guys under control and rate them.
Here's another thing I'm very curious about. There's a little graphic here, and it's the label says the debris ranging from 1 millimeter to 1 meter shrouding the planet Ion low Earth orbit. And based on that image, this image of the debris out there, I don't know how anybody sees anything out there. I look up at night, I don't see all this debris.
Now, I mean, part of this is funny because they say it's congested, but in the what is the word? The scope of space, when they say congested, they means there's like an iota of scrap. It'll be, some of these pieces of junk that they track are smaller than a dime. And
Yeah,
you'll have pieces of trash smaller than a dime that are like 50,000 miles away from each other. And they're like, ooh, traffic jam.
But also, didn't it go through one of the FLIPPY arms in space? And that probably prompted the World Economic Forum. You remember that story about the what was it? The
of course I remember Trash FLIPPY.
Yeah, Canadarm got it, or was it the China one?
No, yeah, Canada arm got a little hole in it recently.
Got a hole in it, right?
From a speck of dust size.
That's what I'm saying. The World Economic Forum heard that and they stepped in.
Yeah.
Klaus was like, I will make sure the arm is safe. We will monitor the space.
The only thing that the World Economic Forum is accountable to and takes orders from is the robotic arms. FLIPPY controls the World Economic Forum. Okay. We know this.
All right. Okay, well, we have a couple quick things from the world of, I guess it's geopolitics.
It's Latin for many. Tick. They'll suck your blood. They'll suck politics. Your blood.
Well, let me just do it real quick. This is, again, Daily Mail, really making it happen today. Headline, Russian fleet 35 miles off Hawaii practices sinking an aircraft carrier as U.S. Navy strike group moves into the area and F-22 stealth fighters in Pearl Harbor are placed on standby. There you go. There's a story. All in the headline.
Interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was weird.
It is weird.
It's more of this taunting from, and it came right after Biden's meeting with Putin. And he tends to do this. He does this. I mean, he does this several times a year.
Yeah. A couple of the points here. Russian forces are currently carrying out the largest war games since Cold War. At least 20 Russian warships, submarines, and support vessels, flanked by 20 fighter jets, are taking part in the exercise. Anytime I hear exercise, it really kind of makes you suspicious as to what's really going on.
Yeah, it was an exercise of the entire Israeli armed forces that was mobilized days before the recent 11-day war. And it just happened to be they had their entire military armed and ready to go, ready to strike at Gaza.
Yep. Twice the U.S. has been forced to scramble F-22s to see what is happening. On June 17th, the U.S. Navy admitted a carrier strike group had moved to the area. The Pentagon is watching the Russian maneuvers extremely carefully. They come after Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin met in Geneva last week. Both men have admitted that relations between their countries are at a low. And you know what's interesting? Right as this story is breaking, footage is released by CBS News. Watch the U.S. Navy use 40,000-pound explosive on its new aircraft carrier to ensure the ship is hardened to withstand battle conditions.
This was crazy.
This is insane. This is more of a visual, so if you are just listening, you're not going to get the full effect. We will explain what's happening.
Yeah, so for those who are just listening, it's a big shot of the ocean from high up, and way off in the distance, you see like a little speck. It's like just a little inch-long thing, and you're thinking, what is that? That is an aircraft carrier, so we are very far away from this thing. But, these aircraft carriers, they are enormous. They're pretty much the biggest machines on Earth, and you're very far away. You see this little speck, and then kablooey! This enormous explosion. Again, this explosion takes up, the majority of the frame. If you had to, you got the little aircraft carrier in there, the explosion was at least 20 times the length and even more so the height of the actual boat. And I guess we're led to believe that the boat survived this explosion. Is that what we're trying to brag about here?
I think it is.
Yeah.
There's within the shot of this 1 minute clip, they do a closer view of it. You're a little more zoomed in onto the carrier there, but the initial shock wave of the explosion looks like CGI. There's a blue shock wave that comes emitting out of the explosion spot.
It's
there.
Very impressive explosion.
I mean, it is.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
40,000 pounds of explosives on this thing. So, yeah, of course, we've got more saber rattling here. We've got Putin trying to show off how they're practicing to take down U.S. Aircraft carriers. And then the next day, the U.S. puts out this video of this aircraft carrier surviving just the most ludicrous explosion.
They're like, we are cockroaches. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Kind of what they're saying.
So there you go. They're just kind of showing off to each other about their cool boats.
Yeah, you know.
Boys showing off their boats.
Yeah. It's like it's like a parent said to me one time when I was teaching a couple of these kids how to play or how to swim. And they would not let go of these little balls that you play with in the water.
Floaty balls or something?
Floaty balls. Or actually, they were sinky balls.
Okay.
But the mom said, boys and their balls. So kind of like that, boys and their booms, I guess. And then all-seeing eye, CBS News. Propaganda. This is not propaganda.
No, I mean, this is like true propaganda, you know. If you think about the early days of televised propaganda, it was all about showing off the power of your nation. You know, you think about World War II, it was basically illegal to show a Marine dead on screen or during a newsreel. Where they would show just heaps and mounds of Germans and Japanese just killing fields of enemy soldiers, but you were not allowed to broadcast a picture of like a dead Marine, U.S. Marine. In fact, there was one photographer who did, and I believe it was in Time magazine, and he was just excoriated for showing a dead Marine, and he did it sort of tastefully, but also just realistically, you know, like he was trying to show like war is hell for our boys as well. It's not just about dead Japanese or Germans. It's, you know, everybody gets hurt here, and he was just canceled for it. But that's what we're seeing here is, we got to inspire the nation to let them know of our superiority. And just show off to Putin.
Where's the PETA people or whatever? I mean, how many animals do you think are, not sea people, but sea creatures?
What about the mermaids?
I stand for the mermen.
Gonz, mermen.
Yeah, I mean, what did they do? Do you think they used some fisherman boats to try to, distract the dolphins?
There's a bunch of liquefied jellyfish now in that area.
That makes me sad. I don't want the sea creatures to
save the whales. You know, there's going to be some collateral damage. If you want to show how big and strong you are to the Russians, you're going to kill a few dolphins. It's just the nature of war.
I fight sin in the chat. Aquaman. Shoot all the animals away ahead of time. That makes me feel better.
Right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yes, Aquaman, notorious American patriot. Yes, I see Retribution referring to Mr. Nimbus.
This is not
for
good.
This show.
I wonder if this is signaling for the underwater world of Atlantis remains and the creatures that live therein. Like, hey, it's time to come to the surface.
I'm trying to keep an eye out for some of those trans-medium UFOs flying out of the explosion there.
Oh yeah, it's a good way to get them out there. See some fake clouds up there, some double cloud action.
It's cool. Double cloud. Woo!
All right.
I think we're done. We got to get you out of here, man.
I need to leave.
All right, everybody. Thanks. I got to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to follow our one of our backup channels. Remember, we've got Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel, and we've got the Canary Cry News Talk channel. The Canary Cry News Talk channel is not searchable as of now, but go to CanaryCry.Party. Just type that into your address bar, CanaryCry.Party, and it's a few links down. You'll see the link to the Canary Cry News Talk backup YouTube channel. Very important you do that. The Face Like the Sun channel is one strike away from disappearing forever. So, you know what? At this point, if you're not following us other places, I don't know what to say. You're living your life. Do your thing. But nice knowing you. Other than that, remember, we will be back on Friday, June 25th, folks. Friday, June 25th. Put it on your calendar. Turn on notifications. While you're at it, go ahead and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
There you go. Okay, and remember, we'll need some producers for that episode on Friday. So I want to start out by thanking all of the producers for this episode 354. Those producers include producer Igor K, Igorius, Juan E, Brian D, Tracy R, that's Mom with a Sword and Shield on Twitch over there, Rebecca B, James H, Aaron J, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Tristan H, Scott K, Kim W, Laura E, and Ciara F. And of course, thanks to our time stampers, Jade Bouncerson, and all of our jingle makers and artists. We truly could not do the show if it weren't for our international team of producers who keep the show going. So if you want to join the revolution and rebel against the prevailing ideology of advertisements, which gathers up your attention and your trust and sells it off like a truck full of cattle, if that's not how you want to be regarded on sort of a material reality basis as well as spiritually, go ahead and join the Value for Value revolution by becoming a producer of the show. You can do that by heading to patreon.com/ccnt. That's patreon.com/ccnt for Canary Cry News Talk, or CanaryCryRadio.com/support. CanaryCryRadio.com/support. That's right, CanaryCryRadio.com/support. We will be thanking producers on next episode. We'll also be reading ratings and reviews. That's right, on Friday's show. If you have not done it yet, go leave a rating and a review over on Apple Podcast. If you own an iPhone, you already have Apple Podcasts on your phone. Just search podcast. It's that little purple icon there. Any Apple product will have it automatically. But you can just go ahead and search on any browser, Apple Podcast, Canary Cry News Talk. Leave a rating and a review. It's very important to us. And, we've been setting these quotas, Gonz. Well, starting last week, and we hit our quota of 5 ratings and reviews, and we can see it reflected in our download numbers. People are finding the show because of these ratings and reviews. It's not just the rating or the review that helps us out, but it activates the algorithms and shares the show with people who have never heard it before. So your rating or review could be the one to tip us over the edge and share the show with people who have never seen or heard of it before. And we set another quota for 5 this week, and we're doing great. We're going to hit the 5 ratings and reviews. We appreciate that so much. So we'll be reading ratings and reviews. Don't let that stop you from rating and review anyhow. The more, the merrier. It helps out quite a bit. So thank you very much. And remember, I have to read what those ratings and reviews are on the show. So it's a great way to get me to say whatever you want me to say, even if it's an evisceration of our own show, which happens. or just constructive criticism, either way. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And if you're a creative person, jingle maker, if you want to clip some audio for us, or if you want to create a piece of art, whatever your creative passion is, create something based on the show, for the show, send it in to us. We'd love to feature it on the show. It's content, baby. And you can do that by sending it to CanaryCry.Radio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or CanaryCry.Radio@protonmail.com if you like to keep it a secret. And go ahead and share the show. Share it out on your social media. Hey, I've been working hard putting out these little clips on our social media, Twitter, No Agenda Social, Instagram, what else? Facebook. If you see these clips, please share them. They're fun. They're good clips. Then they're just like little pieces of the show that people who may not have heard of the show before, they can listen to this, get an idea about what we're all about. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they're just good pieces of analysis or predictions. But follow us on Twitter, share them out, or Instagram or whatever, wherever you are. Helps me a lot. And whenever I see those shared, it reminds me that putting all this work into it helps. It actually does something. Remind me that what I'm doing is not in vain by sharing those clips. And more than anything, just share the show with your friends and family, because you got friends, you got family. They're starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems, that perhaps they're being lied to by forces and trends that are bigger and more motivated and incentivized than them. And maybe they need a little bit of sanity in their life, how to navigate what's going on in the world and how it's being presented to them. They're going to appreciate you. They'll thank you for it someday. Share the show with them. Just send it straight to them, or let them know. All right. We like to call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages.
Hey, stop that!
You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy.
Leave the bird alone!
Never! Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Okie dokie. Just ask Noah, folks. Gonz, any last words?
Yeah, I have Revelation chapter 19, verse 6, and I heard a sound like a roar of a great multitude, like the rushing of many waters, and like a mighty rumbling of thunder, crying out,
Hallelujah!
For the Lord our God, the Almighty reigns. Sorry, there was more.
Oh, amen.
That's it.
There you go. All right, folks, there you have it. Again, remember to tune back in on Friday, June 25th. Go to CanaryCry.Party. Follow us everywhere. Become a producer. You won't regret it. And that's all, folks. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry Radio. Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. Ooh.
Vaccinations. Give me a break.
Come on, man!
Called it.
Burn it all.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up.
Leave the bird alone!
I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You the cameras on. In my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on now. In my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.
We were made by the aliens.
You can't handle the truth.
They are scum.
And melt those babies into candles, demonic power.
Really? Come on, man.
Are you even woke?
Come on, man.
Are you even woke?
Science! Hey!
I'll make you fat and sassy. In my people's zoo.
Everybody loves waffles.
I'll make you fat and sassy. In my people's zoo.
Vaccinations.
You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
We're all gonna die.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.